This is dedicated to Sergeant Eric Longoria, Sergeant Chico. He was a good man. He will be missed. Number 1 rule was to always take care of your troops. And the number 2 rule was to always take care of your troops. Sometimes that got us in a little hot water, but we kind of figured, both of us, that we would be the insulation between the upper establishment of the police department and the working officers at night. We went through a lot of tough scenes. The goal every night was to try to laugh as much as possible. And I tried to get him laughing before we were out of the station the first 2 blocks. That was always the goal, and we did do that on a nightly basis. One particular night that was very difficult was we were the first unit on scene of a double fatal shooting of 2 officers from an outside jurisdiction. It occurred in January, and it was below 0, and it appeared to be an ambush situation. And we responded immediately because we weren't that far away on the expressway, and it was a terrible event. Both officers were down and mortally wounded. We had the next 2 days off, and we decided that we'd take those 2 days off together and decompress, and we went to my cottage, and we did engage in some Stroda pops. But we were there for each other, and that's just the way Chico was. He had your back all the time.
Victor 3, I'm pulling up on scene right now. Victor 3, hold the air. I see the subject inside. Looks like he's got a gun in his hand, and he's pointing at the clerk. Guys, I've got the south covered behind you. Watch the crossfire. Running southbound, Rob. He's coming right at you.
All units, Victor 3, Victor 5 are fighting with 1. Hold the air.
Victor 3, slow down. Subject in custody. Firearm recovered.
Copy that. Command clear. Subject is in custody for the robbery. Firearms recovered.
I don't know if you heard the backstory on how this kind of came to be with Kaz and I starting this podcast, right? But we had kind of joked the last, well, I don't know what, year or two, you know, when we were in VCI together. You would have loved the violent crime team. It really hit us in the sweet spot. It really did. It really did. Sure. And we were at a point where there's something special when you get in your career to where him and I looked at that assignment with VCI with almost 20 years on the department.
Oh yeah.
Saying this is it.
This is it.
Right. And so that was extremely important to us. Making every minute count. And we did. Yeah. We made every second in there count. Well, we shared a cubicle together, and there was definitely some laughs to be had in between, you know, all the guns we were seizing. And we had kind of joked at that time about, man, can you imagine if we had a podcast about, you know, this or that or the other? But obviously we were working, so there's just no way, right? You know, it just wouldn't fit. Like for us to come in here and yuck it up and, you know, have guests and, you know, have a couple drinks if we want to. Like we wanted the freedom to be able to kick our feet up in our own house. And we locked arms and haven't looked back. And it's been incredibly special, man.
About the 4th beer, we're like, bro, who we're gonna have on there? And your name was
somewhere around here is the original OG. Yeah. Where we literally got like 3 beers in. We're like, Tommy's got to be on there. You know what I mean? So right from the rip, man. Not, you know, and it's obviously you being here is extra special for me. And I'm not trying to be, you know, overly emotional with you, whatever, but I've literally known you my entire life.
I'm as a kid.
You know what I mean? Literally my entire life. And my mom.
Your mom.
My mom jokes about teasing her about if that baby comes out with a mustache, it's my baby. You know what I mean? Like, talking about me. You know what I mean? Like so.
Let's just say I'm real thankful that didn't happen.
Yeah.
For the record.
For the record.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where Tommy Wright started and how you got into law enforcement. And
well, you know, I was blessed. I had two uncles that were police officers.
Okay.
I'm from Buffalo, New York originally.
Okay.
And that's where I was born, and that's where my whole family was, and that's where they were cops. And I would spend summers back there. And it was interesting, you know, Buffalo being a large city in New York State, but it was the neighborhoods were very segregated, and in a good way. You'd have Hungarians living in one area, Italians, you'd have Irish, you'd have Hispanic. I mean, everybody had their own neighborhood.
Yep.
And within that, in the Irish neighborhood, there were like, for young men, there were 3 acceptable occupations.
Yeah.
You could be a priest, you could be a fireman, or you could be a police officer. Those were basically and fourth would have been, GM was big there at that time, and you could work at the factory. So I had such great memories with my uncles. I had one of my uncles who lived in Orchard Park, just down the road from the Buffalo Bills Stadium.
Wow.
And he knew everyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The coaches, the players. You know, he was an old Irish cop that he knew everybody, and I just, you know, you just absorb that kind of personality. My other uncle, he would come home. He was a sharp-dressed man. He was a detective, and detectives wore suits and white shirts and ties. And I remember he pulled in the driveway. He had a 1965 black Ford, four-door department car. It you know, poverty hubcaps. It just screamed police car.
Yeah.
And had a little .38 snub nose and a holster on his side. He'd come home for lunch. He'd take his coat off. He'd still have his tie, looking sharp, you know. And we'd have lunch when I was over visiting. We'd have lunch, and then he'd say, I went by my initials, TJ. And actually, I did that those last years of retirement. That was my name tag, was TJ. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Just like it started back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he said, "Do you want to go for a ride on Harlem Road?" And well, absolutely. And so we got in the patrol car, no lights, no emergency lights whatsoever.
Yeah.
But there was a switch that turned the horn ring to a siren.
Yeah.
So you got this black four-door car screaming down Harlem Road, siren going full tilt, no headlight flashers, no nothing. And it was like, I've got to do this.
This is it.
Were those Fairmonts?
No,
Was
they
it-
were Ford Galaxies. This was
Galaxy, that's the brand, okay.
1965. I was like in 8th grade.
Yeah. Wow.
And then I'd run across a couple of LPD motor officers, motorcycle officers.
Yeah.
And I thought, somehow I'm going to do that someday.
Yeah.
And those early thoughts of being a police officer really formed my personality, because like in high school and stuff, I had to stay away from being an idiot because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Sure.
Because I didn't want to blow anything
Yeah.
for future. So right out of high school at 18, there was a couple other of my classmates, high school classmates. One of them was Tez. And we both decided, they had come to the high school before we graduated that summer, and put on a little presentation about the cadets. And the cadets started, the original group was in 1969, and it was a small group of maybe 4 or 5. But they came and did a presentation with an LPD sergeant, and I thought, man, this is awesome, because the deal was you would work for the department inside doing filing or whatever for 20 hours a week, and 20 hours a week you went to college, and they picked up the tab.
Wow.
So we got our associate's degree paid, and we got our $40 a week. $40 a week. Of course, gas was $29.9.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
My parents were quite proud about the choice I was going to make. I was not really focused on going to college other than to get that. And back then, you really didn't need anything but a high school diploma to be a police officer.
Okay.
If you had an associate's degree, it shifted to that, then you were good. A bachelor's degree, you were golden.
Yeah.
And that was rare. I was a cadet from April of 1970 to the end of 1972, which I had turned 21 in August, you couldn't be a cadet anymore. So we used to have a civilian rank of police technician, and that they were in the jail. They were down in dispatch. Dispatch was actually on the first floor by the exit door back in Central Records, the glass house back there. That was dispatch. 2 dispatchers for the whole city. We had a big map. Oh yeah, it was crazy. And they actually had like an old-fashioned bank. You walked into the lobby. Off to your right was an area that had a counter, and the telephone operator was there. So when you called, there was no 911. You called the department number, or you told the operator you need the police, and they would put you through it. They would route the call to dispatch. If you were a walk-in, which we would get walk-ins all night long, they'd come to the complaint desk, and we usually had at least 2 police officers. We had a sergeant, maybe a technician on there, but we'd all sit around, and they'd walk up to your window, and they would make their complaints or whatever. And if it was a crime in progress, they had what was called a telewriter. And it looked like, if you go back in your history, when you went to a store and you were going to get a receipt, there was a metal receipt machine, and they would write on it, and it made copies, and they would flick a thing, and they would pop out, and they would tear you off the yellow one, and they would keep the white,
Yeah.
Well, what happened there was it was a telewriter. When you picked up the pen, you literally wrote what the call was. So, for example, man with a gun in the lobby YMCA. That would write at the exact same time back in dispatch. All of a sudden, you'd hear that telewriter start to write, and when you got done, zzz, it would pop up, and you'd tear that off, and you'd put out the call.
I'm curious what do you think?
Unreal.
Just a guess.
Unreal.
What do you think? Time from call to time to getting the scene. What do you think that?
Oh, it could.
Oh, man.
From the incident to the time of reporting to the time the call went out could be lengthy, because you've got people calling in on landlines.
Yeah.
And you've got people running into the station and reporting in person. So if it was something downtown that was happening, it was already happening.
Yeah. Sure.
And I remember one evening, usually there was a technician dispatching, and they would have police officers dispatching. That's when we had, I think one of my oldest seniority rosters, I think there was 274 sworn.
Wow.
And some of those people were working inside, which then the attrition, it was smart to get the cops out on the street rather than, dispatching and things. But we were sitting in the back like we are now, chewing the fat. It was a night shift, and we heard the telewriter, and we didn't really pay much attention to it because we were in the middle of a conversation. And the paper went straight up, and then it fell flat.
Uh-oh.
And we forgot about it for about 15 minutes. And it tore it off, and it was like, oh, crap, this says man with a gun in the lobby of the YMCA.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So we put the call out,
Yeah.
and the West Side cars were District 5A and 5B, and then there was District 3, District 4. So we sent, and everybody was two-manned up. The 5A, 5B, District 3 generally were all two-man cars. So we sent a unit over there, and fortunately came back and said, well, the subject was here, but apparently he's left, and there's no, nobody got assaulted or whatever. Somebody just spotted a gun or whatever, but the subject's on. We're all like,
He's in Ohio now.
Literally.
which for us, that was fine.
Yeah.
What we didn't want to have, there's a guy laying in the lobby, it's been shot, and we've just been sitting here.
My
And it
goodness.
had the old style teletype machine for lean in there, which looked like, if you ever go out to MSP, I think they have one of those. And it had the ticker tape.
Yeah.
So you would type in the message, and you'd have to type in to run a plate or whatever. You had to have the right code. And then it had a white button that was lit up, and you punched that button and it would run through, and it would type it out as a teletype machine would. And that was the technology of the day. And
So, like, historically, Tommy, can you explain, like, so culturally in your neighborhood, right? Being a fireman and being a policeman, there's nothing wrong with it, right?
right.
it seems like sometimes currently in modern times, you know, you come from a neighborhood, say you're from Detroit or from Lansing, Grand Rapids, and you decide to be a police officer in the neighborhood you grew up in. Sometimes it's very, very difficult
Sure.
for people to jump over those hurdles and stay loyal to the profession and not dip their toes back into, hey, I got your back, you know, high school buddy that I grew up with. So you came from someplace where it was accepted and promoted.
Yes.
So when you got into your law enforcement career, you were celebrated, right? When you
Celebrated.
came back.
You were the neighborhood hero. You were held to a high level just for the mere fact that you were a police officer.
Yeah.
Which made it difficult for those of us that came from that background to understand why there was such an issue between groups of people in the city that didn't grow up in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
How they hated you just for walking in the door.
Yeah.
It's like, what have I ever done to you?
Yeah.
You know, but you obviously represented something, authority, and you might not have been the correct race at that time.
Yeah.
And I was not used to that. That was a shock.
And I think that's a constant. Like, I mean, Rob and I have talked about it countless times on previous podcasts, and I'm very passionate about what I think historically 50 years from now is going to be when people refer to 2020, COVID, George Floyd. You know, we had incidences in law enforcement that challenged our profession. Rodney King, Malice Green, you know, Brown, all these things that challenged it. But 2020 came with an exceptional like push because, you know, we obviously know that social media runs the world.
Right.
So it just got this like steroid shot in the arm that this profession can't be trusted. It can't be as good as it used to be or whatever. You know, I'm listening to you describe something that people wanted, that people respected. And even if they came with an attitude of, we don't like the police, well, then that's fine. But it didn't come with this gigantic, like, you know, protest.
In the there wasn't any of that because there wasn't social media.
Yeah.
And there were certain rules in society. So in other words, if you were acting up no matter what the issue was and the police came, you could expect you were probably going to get your butt kicked.
Yeah.
If you resisted at all.
Yeah.
Even in the tougher neighborhoods, they expected the police to come in and take care of the situation.
Yep.
Working the east side, Michigan Avenue, you know, you would get calls from people who lived in, they didn't have much. They rented and they had children, because everybody had children.
Yeah.
Maybe a fatherless home to say on top of that. But they've got hookers standing out in the driveway at the curb. And they're leaving needles and different things in the street. And they would call and say, I can't, my kids, we can't have. They didn't ask or put you under the microscope. What are your techniques? Because we're going to move them out of there.
Yes. Yes. Trust and believe this will be fixed.
Trust me, they're not going to be in your driveway here shortly.
Sure.
You know, and it got to be a tactic or a technique, if you will, especially with the working girls, because with the working girls came the pimps and the other assorted lowlife. That those were the guys you really had to watch. The girls maybe a knife or so, but the guys, they carried guns, or they tried to lure people in where they could rob and shoot them or stab them. So it got to be you took on a certain mean-spirited personality to deal with them. So you pull up and you shake them down, and that may end up taking they used to actually carry purses.
Yeah.
And that was dumping their purse on the hood of the car, the contents, and going through it, and then everything went onto the ground. And if they didn't have any warrants, you'd say, you need to be gone. I'm going to come around this block in 2 more minutes. You better not be here.
Right.
And that was expected. And the callers expected that. The prostitutes expected that. They knew. But then again, they were a great source of street knowledge, too. I mean, I mean, so it was a fine edge there. So sometimes you had to, you know, act that way with one that you were, so the others could see or the neighbors could see, but later you would see them and say, I had to be, you know better than, I told you not to be down in that neighborhood. You got to, if you're going to be out here, you got to be on the main street, not in these neighborhoods. And what else is going on that I need to know about?
And
you're trying to, you understand.
Believe and trust that they're also trying to hustle too. Like, that relationship is made, but they're going to
absolutely
backdoor you any chance they can if it means money in their pocket.
Yeah.
What was your FTO experience?
Well, we didn't have FTO when I came on.
Okay.
I mean, there was nothing like that. You went to a 2-week-long in-service with a department. They showed you all the forms, and they told you what you were going to do. They pulled out the blue book.
Oh, yes. Look at this thing.
1967.
Look at
Yeah,
that thing,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. 1967. That was the Bible right there, and it covered everything. And actually, that was cutting edge in 1967. That we actually had written procedures.
Yeah.
So again, so as a cadet, I come on 70. So spring of 73, April of 73, I hired on as a patrol officer, and it would have been probably 72, but we had so many spaces to fill,
Yeah.
and I was a W. So I was at the end of the list.
Man.
My whole life, I was a W. And for the guys, and actually on my hire date, they hired 5 of us on the same date.
Oh, damn.
And they finally stopped doing that because when it came down to vacation picks in the uniform division,
Yes.
this was, and so what was the default? Alphabetical.
Alphabetical.
That's
And
right.
who was the WR? Even a WE in front of me had a pick before
Yeah.
me because I was a WR. And I said, this is not right. You know?
Yeah.
But I was so just happy to be there. But we didn't have any FDO training. The training consisted basically of, and again, first of all, I had been employed there for a couple of years, so command had already got to know me.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was a good impression because, but we had at that time about 7 working beats.
Okay.
One of which was not far from here, and one of which was one of my top 5 rests as a beat officer. And I really think it was beat 5.
Yeah.
It was a gnarly beat at the time. There were 3 ethnic bars within a block and a half of each other, and people were killed. I mean, this was a rough neck of the woods.
Yeah.
It's nice to see it now because it's not what it used to be.
So when you say ethnic, not the same ethnicity, 3 separate different types of venues.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had you kind of had a country bar, you had a black bar, and a Hispanic bar.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of stayed to their own. But you have to imagine the number of junks.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So they actually had a beat officer. So I think they put me up there at the time. I was probably one of the 4 or 5 physically smallest cops I had. I mean, you had to be 5'9", but I was slender. I wasn't very big. And that was still the day and age of the big
That's right.
police officers.
Yeah.
You know, you just had to be big and strong. And we had no women on the street. We had some detectives that worked with juveniles.
Yeah.
But no uniform ladies out there with us at all.
Wow.
So that hadn't happened. And you would walk the spring and fall uniform, which was a blouse, the dress blouse with your gear on the outside, Sam Brown belt on the outside of the blouse, similar to what state police wear for their dress uniforms.
Gotcha.
And that's a terrible uniform to work in because you can't fight. I mean, you can't fight in it. It's like trying to fight a street fight in a suit. You can't, do much with it.
So amongst many of the obvious altercations you had in this mecca of opportunity for people to screw up, because I like to see when you say 3 separate things, I think of like a kid with 3 scoops of ice cream, and then 5 minutes later it's on his elbow.
Well, you can't control them all at the same time.
It's just
No way.
It's like spinning plates.
So
man.
your first time, Tommy Wright knuckled up and put that work in. Was it in that area or was it before?
It was.
Okay.
Well, and that was your training. You would generally walk the beat 1 or 2 shifts with a senior officer who would show you where the coffee pots were and the back doors to the restaurants, who to watch out for, how to sneak in here, this or that. But then other than that, you were on your own. And it depended in lineup. You would be given you had 40 plus guys on the shift. So they didn't have enough cars, so there'd at least be 3 or 4 beats out. And So depending on what beat you were on, they'd give you in lineup your call time, 10 after, 20 after, 30 after.
Okay.
So you were expected to be at the other end of the beat at that call sign time. Half hour later, you're supposed to be at the other end. And you have to understand, too, they had just gotten rid of the call boxes, which before they had portable radios, the guys would walk to the corner where they had yeah, this is crazy. This was right. They still had the call boxes up, but they weren't using them anymore. And we had these low band 155 frequency radios that were the size of a large brick and had antennas on them and everything else. And these things weigh you down. And I mean, and you had to call in, and command was notorious about hiding in the shadows to see if you were calling in from the right spot. Because if you said, I'm at Larch and Grand River, you better be at Larch and Grand River at some point when you are saying that, because they'd be waiting for you. Wintertime was terrible because they'd track you in the snow.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, it'd be below zero out just about, and you're out there and you're
they're in the heat of the car, man. I got to turn the heat down here. Meanwhile, they're on the beat freezing, like, hey, following the tracks in the snow. Hey, Rook, where you at? Like, oh my gosh,
But I learned some of my best lessons. Actually, it was like going to the academy and on the beats, the North End beat especially. A couple things actually happened. It was on a MSU football Saturday. It was in the fall. It was like September. It was a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
A little crispness to it. I had my Sam Brown or my blouse on because I was working afternoon shift, and I'm just happily walking the beat, looking sharp. I'm coming from one end of my beat to the other. So I'm coming down Grand River. I'm going to go up Turner Street. And I'm going to cut through the corner. There's actually a city park there. It used to be there used to be a building there that burned down years ago, and they turned it into just a small little park. And so I'm kind of cutting through that. Only in the North End, as I look in front of one of the bars, there are all the occupants of the bar standing on the sidewalk. So there's probably 15, 20 people, and there's two knuckleheads in the street with what we would call back then Saturday night specials. These were the 22 and the 25 caliber cheap revolvers. I thought it was the shootout at the OK Corral. They're in the street and they are shooting at each other.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Unreal.
As I come around the corner. Now, back then, we had cross-draw holsters that took two hands to draw. So if you're going to draw your weapon, you have no hands to grab the radio. And you have to pull the radio out because there are no shoulder mics. So you got to pull a radio out of a leather holster to talk. So there isn't time for that. So what ends up happening is you go for your gun first.
Yeah.
So I go for my gun, and I'm thinking, holy cow, this has got to be a violation of the law.
Hang on. Let's consult the manual.
Let me check. Let me get the blue Let me get the blue manual. But I have studied this, and technically, I don't think you can shoot at each other in a public place.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my sidearm out, and it was a wheel gun. It was a .38. It was Charlie Reef Snyder, former Chiefs. It was his original blued .38 6-shot. Wow. And it was scarred up. I do wish I had bought that gun. I had the chance to, and I didn't. I wish I would have. I have some of my other service weapons, but so anyway, I pull this out, and I'm like a constable or a Mountie running up. I got my hat on. You had to have your hat on, no matter what.
What's that look like?
Well, let me just square that up. I'll feel much more comfortable.
Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah.
Now,
at least for this story.
Now watch how we put it on. Right. You can't put your fingers on the brim.
Oh,
right?
no.
You can't
And when you take it off right there. You never
touch the
rim.
No. And then that gives you that little crease when you have a big Irish head that you can put it on.
Now I get the visual.
So now
Here you come.
I'm
Violation
official.
of law.
Yeah, I have to cover because I didn't have chin hair. Matter of fact,
and they were great.
We had just been allowed to have mustaches.
Okay.
When I came on, so everybody got a mustache. Grew a mustache, and then people would say, I saw this cop. Well, who was it? Well, I don't know, but he had dark hair and a mustache. Oh, okay.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. So anyway, I draw my my revolver out, And so the crowd sees me right away because street people are really, I mean, they're looking.
Yeah.
They're probably figuring this isn't going to last long before because they knew there was a beat cop out. They know more than you do.
Yeah.
And so somebody yelled cops. The one guy runs to the northeast, and the other knucklehead runs straight south on the opposite side of the street from me, running down the sidewalk, gun in hand.
Oh,
Well, I'm going to shoot him.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everything's going, he's shooting at another man. Shots have been fired. He's tried to shoot and kill another guy. He's got a gun in his hand.
Yeah, he's a threat to
checking
society.
the boxes off.
Yeah.
And but I'm running while I'm trying to do that. I mean, so I'm running up, try to get closer to him, and I realize this is harder than it sounds.
Yeah, man.
And there are people around, and so you're thinking, you backstop all of this. There's traffic going down Grand River, and that's back when the bridge was the old humpback style bridge.
Yeah.
They hadn't taken that out yet. And so he goes down to the corner. He crosses in front of Pearl's dry cleaners. She was a piece of work.
Yeah.
And so runs. Maybe I captured him maybe 200 feet from where we are. And I'm running right down the double yellow line of Grand River Avenue, which is a long street, with my gun.
It's just a bounce.
Aiming like this. And I'm going to
Hit the one in the middle, right?
And I'm waiting for traffic to clear so I could pinch one off.
Yeah.
Because he's not stopping.
Yeah.
And we weren't supposed to give warning shots. That was all being kind of developed. There were times people cranked them off.
Yeah.
But anyway, got him right here behind the old donut shop, which was just right next door, actually.
Yeah.
And so I captured this guy at gunpoint, and he just ran out of gas before I did, and I was really
Where's the
winded.
gun at?
Oh, he still got it.
He still got it.
Throws the
Oh,
gun
damn.
down. So I get him handcuffed. I pick the gun up and, like the movies, I tuck it in my belt. I tuck it in the belt, so I've got him, and I have to get the radio out. I only got two hands. I get on the radio, and of course, the major rule of thumb was never let them hear you sweat on the radio.
Yes.
So you can't get on it. I need a car. No, it had to be beat 5.
Beef. I love it.
Is Casey Kasem with the top 40 countdown.
You could be bleeding profusely.
Yes.
And so I'm going to march him back. I said, come on, let's go. We're going back. So I'm going to take him back to the bar because I'd given out a description somewhere along that line of the other guy. Well, one of the shift sergeants grabbed him.
Nice.
Yeah. So had both knuckleheads. Now the crowd has never moved.
Yeah.
This is like the matinee show.
That's
They
right.
watch this. Now the
That
cops
is
have
right.
shown up. We got
That's
police
right.
cars all over. Yeah. And they're in various stages of intoxication.
Yeah.
Back then, you couldn't be intoxicated in a public place. It was a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
It was quite subjective.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
If you'd been drinking and you had attitudinal dysfunction, you must be drunk.
Yeah.
If you were drinking and you kept your mouth shut, there might be a chance you'd get through this.
Yeah.
But they're not causing any kind of problem.
Right.
So I get on and I'm marching him back up, and I am for a moment the man. We got both guys.
The
I
Red
am
Sea
thinking,
parted, right?
That's right.
And my activity sheet is going to show 2 felony arrests, which for a beat officer, this is the cherry on top of the ice cream.
That's
thinking,
right.
This is great. And
Did the sergeant recover the gun?
the guns were recovered.
Okay.
The sergeant recovered the gun. That knucklehead kept the gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So,
you
we
gotta-
get both guys, and we got this crew here, and the lieutenant shows up. Well, this back in the day when you were lucky if the lieutenant talked to you.
Yeah.
And so here comes the lieutenant. Never got out of his car. He just looked. He rolled the window down and he did one of these. Well, you knew what to do then. I stuffed my guy in a car, and I walked over and I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "What do you got here?" I said, "Well, these 2 guys were standing out on the street shooting at each other with guns, live guns, and
Yeah.
we've got them both." And I legged one down, boss, all the way
Yeah.
to the donut shop. Okay. What about them? What about them? and I turned and I kind of look at this crew, said, they've all been drinking. I said, yes, sir. They came out of the bar. Well, they look intoxicated to me. Take them.
Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Now wait a minute, Tom.
This
I gotta stop you right there because I have to make this point. Right, you got a reputation in that beat,
Oh, yeah.
right? Did it affect? Did you feel like it was gonna affect your reputation?
Well,
in
it
that?
affected the reputation. Like, don't mess with that little guy because he will take everybody to jail.
Gotcha.
right.
It didn't go the other way. where
And it
they're
was
like,
funny, and I wasn't mean to him or anything. I just looked at him and I just said, well, you're all under arrest.
We're gonna line y'all up alphabetically. Booking will go much smoother.
and they all knew they all knew the drill.
Yeah, man.
Nobody like ran off, and some were pretty hammered, and some were just not, But I mean, and so we're talking like 15 at least, plus my 2. We had to get more cars there to transport these guys. Now let me fast forward to a Saturday MSU game on the radio in the jail. And they're just having a nice afternoon.
Not no more.
And the elevator keeps bringing them up. Bringing
Nothing makes me happier. Still to this day, line them up.
They were lined up,
Wow.
and they were coming up to the jail, and first the 2 guys with the guns, and then the parade of others, and so suddenly the jailers are dealing with like 17 people to print and mug and book. Who is the arresting officer? And those older guys threw me under the bus.
Oh yeah, man. Watch out for that oil pan,
it was
TJ.
Tommy
Here
Wright.
comes.
It's that little guy. It's that little guy right there. He's that Tommy Wright. That's his arrest,
Yeah.
So I got credit for, 15 misdemeanor arrests and 2 felonies all in one full swat. And I think my name was up in the booking area for a long time.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Most wanted.
They were not happy. They were not.
Most unlikely to get a car.
Yeah.
Dude, listen.
In the old cell, and they had police officers
Yeah.
in there, not detention officers. And but
I'm
I did
telling
what
you.
the boss said.
right.
I was there just now while you were explaining that
Oh,
because
me
you're
too.
wearing that hat.
Oh yeah, man.
I could see the drips of sweat coming down from that hat and that heart rate.
Oh.
And the following busy weekend, and when you showed up, it's like, oh, there's this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but so getting back to that reputation on the beat,
Yeah.
I didn't in any way mistreat any of these people, or talk them down or cuss at them or anything. They remembered that, and the culture of the neighborhood with all the ethnicities was when the cops show up, people are going to go to jail, probably,
Yeah.
and don't jerk them around too much because they're going to probably bring a butt whooping with them.
Yeah.
you know. So fast forward. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, man. Don't mess
Started
with
to shit
Steve.
that 5'9",
Yeah,
you're
so
6'2".
so the
boy.
the 5'9" and
5'9"
under
and a 3/4 right now.
5'9", it's the 5'9" and under club.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
do you know what the handshake for the 5'9" and under club?
No.
Oh yeah. So fast forward to night shift because we worked a month on let's see, it was afternoons and then we went to nights, or no, we went to days. We worked afternoons, then we went to day shift for 30 days, then we went to night shift for 30 days. So every 30 days, every month, you switched shifts. So fast forward to night shift. Same scenario, blouse on, looking sharp. A little bit of backstory there. We didn't carry nightsticks. We didn't have nightsticks. We really, at that point, I didn't even have my Kel light.
Yeah.
This is a Kel light, not a mag light.
Yeah.
This is a battery operated light. It's pretty scarred up. The mirroring is pretty well gone, but traffic stops, you could hold it like this,
Yeah.
or if you were talking with somebody, it also gave you the advantage if they got too frisky.
Yeah.
You could use whatever force was necessary
Yeah.
to effect the arrest.
Right.
So Again, it's part of my pile of memories
Yeah.
that I've kept. So what we did have, though, were blackjacks, or they were called saps.
Okay.
They were leather.
Yeah, there's one right
Grab
there.
it.
Yes. Yeah,
Hey, can you reach it? Grab it.
I am in the 5'9" and under club.
I don't know. Are you tall enough? Oh, yeah. Look at him go. There
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
There
Oh,
it is.
that's
there
like-
it is. Home sweet home.
That's like coming home.
Home sweet home.
Yeah.
Home
Thought
sweet
you
home.
brought gifts.
Yeah, well,
we
this
got
is a,
gifts.
This is a blackjack, and this was similar to what I had. Some of them just had a round end. This is more of what was called a beaver tail sap.
Okay.
So it kind of went out like that at the end, but this at the end is lead.
Yeah.
Spring loaded. Mm-hmm. You always had the leather there, so your uniform pants had a pocket that was about as long as the sap.
Yeah.
It was only about that wide.
Okay.
I was going to bring a pair of those with
Yeah.
me, but I had so much other junk.
Yeah.
And so you would slip that into alongside of your leg with this leather part
Yeah.
hanging out. So you could just easily wrap your hand around it and come
Yeah.
out with it.
Yeah.
And that was acceptable.
Yeah.
And these were not made to use what basically force was necessary. This
Yeah.
was to cause your opponent to be out of the fight.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
We want to put somebody in concussion protocol.
So I had a beaver tail, a little bit bigger than this, a little bit bigger head on it, and I had been pulled aside by one of the old salts initially, and he said, "If you're going to be up here walking this beat, if they even look like they're going to swing, if they get in the fighting stance, if they get their fists together, don't wait, because it'll be coming."
Yep.
You take that sap and you strike them right here.
And there you go.
And there you go. And that
Training
will render
given.
them useless. Generally, you'll break their nose,
Yeah.
and they'll go down, and their eyes will water, and the blood and everything.
When someone decides that they're going to challenge you, right, and they knuckle up, you are in harm's way,
Especially when they're bigger.
100%.
Yes.
Or if they're skilled.
Yes.
Or if they're drunk and they're
Well,
just stupid.
and,
You know what
and
I mean?
all the above.
When we talk about how law enforcement has progressed
Sure.
and how communication wasn't as good as it is now,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
all
big
these
time.
things that played against your safety and your survival, a tool like that made sense.
Right. And society understood it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Society
that was
accepted
rules of engagement.
It was.
It
They-
was.
They understood. If you
Right.
got to go for that, then somebody's going to get
Yep.
hurt on this.
When you were working a beat, undersized guy, those tools were necessary.
They were necessary, but they were also a last resort.
Sure.
And the real last resort was a sidearm.
Yes.
And many people understood comply.
Yep.
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
That's right.
It's just do
Yes.
what the nice officer tells you to, and we'll
Yeah.
all be good. And most of the time, that was the case.
Yep.
Once in a while, due to alcohol or they're in front of their friends or whatever. But a short time later, when we went to nights on a Saturday night, Saturday night is drink heavily and go out and see if you can find the beat man and then basically challenge him.
Yep.
That was kind of the sport of the neighborhood. Not all. I mean, just a few knuckleheads would do that. In this case, 3 very large knuckleheads came out of a bar, obviously midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Here I'm walking up the side street, or up the sidewalk towards that bar. And you had to make appearances in these bars too. You had to let them know that these were your bars.
Yep.
And one of them, the largest one, stepped forward and pointed at me when he finally, got his eyes focused, saw that it was a police officer walking up. He definitely knew that he was going to whip my ass.
Yeah.
And I thought, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
We haven't. This is not a good way to start
Yeah.
this relationship out. But
Sure.
again, getting back to where you stand in the neighborhood, I couldn't turn around and walk away.
Sure.
I would be done.
Yep.
No one would ever listen to me. So I continued walking up, and they were drunk, and I said, well, you're under arrest because you got to be drunk to talk to me like that. He was huge. And I remembered those words. And I thought, you're going to have to move fast on this guy. And he walked towards me, and his two buddies, who were not quite as big but larger than I was, also in a state of intoxication. They're watching to see what's going to happen. So there's three of them. So this is not a scenario where you're going to pull your gun.
Yeah.
They have no weapon.
Yep.
But he stopped, got his feet offset, and he put his hands
Fighting
together,
stance.
and the words of the old salt came into mind. And I came out and hit him as hard as I could, right in the bridge of the nose, and he went down hard. I thought I killed him. His nose just exploded. He went down hard, and then he tried to get back up. And I thought, a normal man would not even be able to get up. And so the other two guys are kind of like stepping. I think they had an idea how this was going to go. So they're like, okay, this is a beehive. I don't think I want to actually.
One guy's like, man, you go next.
Yeah, it's like that. I'm going to step back and see how this turns out here. But I'm going to be right here for you, my friend, if you need help.
Yeah.
I yelled out the magic words, you're under arrest. And I grabbed the guy's wrist. Well, he was huge. And I could only get one click on my handcuffs on his wrist.
Oh, man.
And I
Cinder
had to
blocks.
really press it. And I thought, I am in big trouble. And I'm even in worse trouble now because I've got one cuff on. If he gets up with that cuff on his hand and starts swinging at you might as well have a chainsaw and take my head off.
Yep.
I don't want to get there, and I don't want to hit him again. I've only hit him once, but I hit him good. And I realized that he was so big, too. I'm wrestling around, and in the wrestling, I tore my pants. I tore the knee of my pants. These were a wool blend pant, and you had to have a complaint number from an arrest to get.
This is amazing.
You can't patch these. It looks terrible. And so, okay, I've got an arrest, so I'll have a complaint number. I realized that I could not get his hands behind his back. Some big guys you just can't unless you have double cuffs.
Yep.
I only had one set of cuffs. And he literally, he could not get back far enough. And I'm trying, and I can't do it. And I thought, what am I going to do? Now he's coming around.
Yep.
So I handcuffed him to the streetlight.
Good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slapped him around the
Absolutely.
street light, and he got back up on his feet slowly, and he's got these big bloody snot tusks hanging down from his broken nose. It was nasty. And the other two guys kind of backed off, and I told these other two, I looked at them, and I said, you guys want some of this?
Yeah.
Step back. Make your choice.
Yeah.
And they stepped back.
Yeah.
And so, again, I gathered myself. I got my hat, and I think my tie had been ripped off. And I kind of got my uniform blouse straightened back down. And, of course, I reached for my radio. Beat 5.
I love it.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
Beat 5, go ahead. Beat 5, I need transportation factor in Grand River for 1.
I love that.
Going back to the guy that I had to handcuff around the lamp pole. When the senior officers arrived to transport him, they immediately said, take the cuffs off him. Called him by name.
Yeah.
They knew him.
Relationships.
They had relationships.
Relationships, man.
And I said, it took me 10 minutes to get the cuffs on.
Yeah.
And they said, take them off. And they kicked him loose.
Yeah.
And they told his buddies, take him home. And I said, take him home? He needs to get sutured up.
Yeah.
And he said, put a bag of ice on it. You guys be fine. And so they kind of pulled me aside. Again, I got torn pants with no complaint number.
Yeah.
I had to hide those pants until I finally could sneak them in somewhere.
That's
and get
right.
some replacements. But the moral of the story was, you already won that fight. You did it in front of his friends. You'll never have to fight them again, and they'll be there for you. And I thought, I don't know about that. And it came to fruition at the bar another couple weeks later when I had to make an arrest at the bar, crowded.
Yep.
He had warrants. He wasn't getting off. The bartender had kicked him out.
Yep.
And he wasn't going. And I said, come on, let's go. He said, I'm not going. These 3 guys all got out of the booth and stood behind me.
Yeah.
And finally, one of them looked at him and said, get off the stool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they followed me outside, and I cuffed him, and I thought, thanks. I appreciate
Relationships.
that. Yeah. And I never had a problem with him again. And I wouldn't have believed it, but that's how the rules were then. They were street rules,
Yeah.
if you call it.
But I believe that we're struggling with that now. I think I think right now we're an easy target, right? We can be politicized, we can be bastardized with law enforcement, but it's always key towards can we if this philosophy of mine, this idea of mine is if there's any truth to it. If you're ill-intended and you're the media, what you don't want is police to have a relationship with the community they serve, right?
Sure.
So how do we divide them? We divide them with race.
Sure.
We divide them with force. We divide them with edited versions of video footage that isn't accurate. Right. Anything you can do to disrupt that relationship that you had. You walked in that bar, for all intents and purposes, nobody was supposed to help you.
No.
And they did because you had a relationship.
And nobody was expected to, and I was very thankful. And but it also set the tone for everybody else in there. First of all, when the police come in here, they're, I always gave people a choice, column A or column B. I'll treat you like a gentleman or a lady, and let's go down and take care of this. Well, if there's a bond, we'll try to get it taken care of, unless they're drunk and out of control. Or if you're telling me you're not going to go and you're going to fight with me, then there's a good chance you're going to whip me. But I tell you, when the cavalry gets here, it isn't going to go well for you.
Right.
And we can go that route or the other route. How do you want to do it? How do you want to do it?
That's right.
Well,
I think to your point, my man, of what you're touching on with relationships and everything. I think that you would agree, especially culturally speaking, in the police department, right? We're talking about a situation just from a cultural aspect of it. Back then, early 70s, walking the beat, that's nothing but talking to people and building relationships and having the time to talk to the bar owners or the business owners to hear their concerns or have good relationships with them. What is the culture now, present day, 2026? Right? Get there as fast as you can, clear it as fast as you can, and get to the next call as fast as you can. What I say next, I'm not throwing shade. I'm just trying to make a point, right? If we took at random an officer's call, right? Let's say it's a call of a unwanted person, right? And the business owner is calling it in, right? We've taken this call 1,000 times, at least each, right? Very regular call. If we took at random an officer, let's say the next day, right? So they take this call on a Monday night, and now it's Tuesday. And we ask them, hey, what was the business owner's name from the call that you took yesterday? I would argue very heavily, I would put a lot of money on it, that they would say, I don't know.
Right.
Right? They don't be, why? And again, I'm not throwing shade.
Sure.
I'm just saying culturally, they are of the mindset of, I cleared that call and I'm on to the next.
Right.
But I think that you may win the short game with that. Like, yes, you're clearing the call, but you and I know Sergeant Wright will agree with this, that the goal isn't just to clear the call and get to the next. Right? Because if you're doing that, you're missing really the backbone of this job, right? And the backbone of this job being the connection piece, the relationship piece, look, there was no community policing back then. No. That's not what they called it, but that's what you were doing.
Right. And that got developed.
Kind
of from these basics back in the beat days.
That's right.
And they went away from beats because it was more efficient to have cars. You could respond quicker to the next call. When you were on the beat, you got to know the mailman. You got to know everybody, and where you could, not on a call, pop in, or if you saw them, how are you doing? Or how's so-and-so that we were having trouble with the other night? We got to get him under control. He's drinking too much. He gets too wild. How can you help us with that? Where you build that. But then again, as the number of calls came, it became be a focus on efficiency.
That's right.
So we can't be efficient if we've got 4, 5, 6 officers on foot, because a car can make the call faster than you can get to the end of the beat. But you lost that And then when Dr. Trajanowitz there at MSU came out with that community policing aspect,
Yep.
and our department was very involved in that.
Yep.
Then you had neighborhood officers that were assigned. I was assigned to an east side. Those people made me a cake when I retired.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
we met at the Oak Park
awesome.
Community Center. They were sad to see me go because as a sergeant, I wouldn't make my guys go unless they wanted to, but I made all of those meetings to be the police presence.
Yep.
And sometimes it was about barking dogs or it was about cars across the sidewalk. It's all part of your job.
Yep.
But what is your expectation from us to fix this?
Yep.
Well, I don't know if there's anything you can do. Okay, well, that's a good start because there's not much we can do with what you've just described.
Yeah,
You know, so let's try to figure out, do you know that, the landlord, can we get, make
Yep.
some kind of a arrangement with him to have his tenants park his cars differently or whatever it was. All it took was not so much an absolute solution, just that you were listening and you were willing to help try to figure something out.
You gave
That's
a
right.
damn.
Oh, I loved it.
That's
That's
the
right.
juice, Rob.
That is the juice.
That's
That
the
is.
juice.
That's the juice.
What you're talking about is the juice. And if you can find that juice, not only are you building these relationships where they're gonna bake you a cake because they're gonna miss. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna testify in court,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're going to be a part of what continues to make that community better when you're not there. They're going to be a willing witness. You know how much this crime goes unreported because they're worried
sure.
about all types of
That's
things,
correct.
retaliation, and all that stuff.
That's correct.
The juice is that guy walks around in here or patrols this neighborhood every day, and he seems like he gives a damn. So when the drive-by happens 2 houses down, hey, Officer Forbes, you got a second?
Yeah.
That juice, man, I'm telling you, if you don't have that, if you get through your career after 25 years, and you never were thirsty for that juice, you fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to
Yeah.
say it like that. You fucked up because you never became selfless. You never
Right.
became this person that, yeah, I've got the badge, I've got the authority, I've got the training, but you know what? I've got the time,
Yes.
and I'm going to give that to you.
And you can provide guidance.
Yeah.
So you have a neighbor that has a constantly barking dog,
Yeah,
and the other neighbor is saying, this is crazy, they're constantly calling. Have you talked to your neighbor? Well, no. Do you even know your neighbor? Well, no. Have you introduced yourself? No. Do you think that might help?
yeah,
Is this a person you could? Well, yeah, I could, but I'm so pissed about the dog. Well, put the dog aside. Dogs bark. If you build that relationship within, and you get the other neighbor on the
Yep.
other side doing the same thing, instead of everybody's their own little island,
yep,
a lot of the problems that we would get
correct.
called on are
100%.
resolved in the community themselves.
yes,
And if it can't be resolved, then you get to it, and then
Sure.
But they'd bake cookies, and
Yeah.
we'd meet in somebody's living room every Tuesday or whatever, and there'd be cookies and treats, and
Yeah.
you were just there to listen. But then you have to also, as a listener, as a police officer, you have to throw it back at them as there's some responsibility here on your part. You
Yep.
live here,
yep,
and you don't even know who your name of your neighbor.
yep,
Why?
yep, exactly.
You're making cookies here for the rest of the neighbors. Have you invited this person to come? And then maybe the topic can come up if we got issues with the dogs or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, I found it to be really fulfilling, and it was more towards the end of my career, but it was just so hectic
Yeah,
that as far as making the calls, bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam,
Yep.
bam, bam, and but that did away with the beats because it was
Yeah.
it was not time efficient.
so let me
Well, I
ask.
think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I think you lived that reality in your career, and we came in, after you, and it got worse as far as
sure.
being efficient.
Sure.
Right. And by efficient, we mean getting through the details of the call so you can get to the next one. Right. And sometimes if that is the goal, we're missing out on
Right.
a real, I'll say, permanent solution or better solution. Right. But I think the amplifier has been time, and over time we have continued to have the mantra of do more with less, more with less, more or less, and more with less, and being more efficient and more technology and, you know, all of these things to try to make the police doing the job in the interest of making them efficient, we have lost our way in the connection.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
and it's only gotten worse.
And you
the
don't come
more
up with a
technology we
long-term-
cram in a cop car, it gets worse and worse and worse.
It does. You don't end up with a long-term solution. You're constantly issuing with an immediate, temporary solution, and then the next day comes and you're right back at the same problem.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing gets solved.
Nothing gets
And
solved.
some of this stuff can be solved.
Sure.
For
You
sure.
know, that's when they did these communities groups,
Yep.
and you
Yeah.
had community policing officers that would work those areas. But again, at one point, like I said, the seniority roster was about 274. We had some bodies then.
Yeah.
So we had
that's-
some
that's
bodies
that's
to do that.
A lot more than what there is
Oh,
now.
sure.
Yeah.
So you could afford to have officers in the schools. You could have, because we deal on perceptions. And I used to tell people this, somebody would say, I would be out and I was watering my flowers and you drove by and you waved at me. And so the perception for that person was, this is like the safest neighborhood in the city right now. When in reality, across the street, the old man's taking an iron skillet to the wife because he's drunk and he's hammering her in the kitchen. Isn't too safe for her in there, but you don't know that. But the perception from this other person with the patrol car in the neighborhood. So we work on a lot of perception.
Yeah.
You can't be in everybody's kitchen at every moment, but you can have the perception that this area is routinely patrolled.
Yep.
So,
Consistency.
yeah. And so if you stop to say, flowers are looking good, and they come out, well, thank you. By the way, there's been a car that's been hanging around that doesn't belong. I didn't feel it was enough to call. Really. And did you get I did get a plate. And maybe you're having some car larcenies or some B&Es that they're unaware of. Sure enough, that's how you get the good information.
I
from
love that
people.
stuff.
Oh,
I love that stuff.
All the time.
yeah.
I love
All the
that
time.
stuff.
You and me shared the same chord that, we chose to stay on the street our whole career. That's where our bloodline is, right? And I would engage people much like you described, out working in the yard or out walking the dog or whatever. Hey, they just transferred me up here from the south end. I'm just trying to find my way. My name's Rob. Nice to meet you. Anything that
It brings it down to a personal.
anything that you're concerned about or whatever. More often than not, if I engage them again and say, "Hey, good to see you again" or whatnot, then it was hey, that red car over there at blah 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 might be something you're interested in type
Friend
thing. And
or-
it would be solid country gold, man.
Friend
Right?
or foe, right?
Friend or foe. Friend or foe. Friend or foe.
Like,
That's
who
a
am I
great
talking
point.
to here?
That's a great point.
Are you friend or you foe?
That's a great point.
And you'll find that out.
And that's a
pretty quick.
delicate dance.
It is
It
a
is.
delicate dance. A very delicate
Very
dance.
delicate. And you can kind of tell if you're used to dealing with people if you got somebody trying to pound sand up your pants.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
But a good police officer worth their salts, I've always thought, has the ability to have a complete conversation with a total stranger under no duress situation. Where that would happen with my wife and my kids. They say, "Okay, are we going out?" No, your dad's talking to a total stranger
God.
in the airport or something.
Yeah, that's
Having a conversation with somebody, and you find something that connects you.
Yep.
Something.
funny you say
Whether
that,
you're a veteran or my uncle was a police officer. Oh, really? Where's your uncle? Police officer. Blah, blah, blah. Bam. You're instantly having this conversation with somebody you have no idea.
You can't
who
even
they
help
are.
it.
No.
That's right.
You can't help. Kenner calls me the mayor.
But
Oh,
it's a good habit to develop.
It is.
Yeah, we'll go to a
Because
functional
look
wedding.
at you guys now.
Yeah,
That's
This is
right.
what
Yeah.
you do with
I know.
people.
That's all we do.
Literally.
She'll call me the mayor, bro. She'll be like, "Oh God, we're not gonna get out of here. The mayor's
Right,
out,
right.
you know, talking to constituents."
Right.
And I'm just like,
Hustling
I
up
want to
votes.
know who's in this room. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
talking to everybody.
I want to back up to that actual first day I recall being in a car because the beats were filled. We had
Okay.
enough new kids out there. The beats were filled, so I got a chance to ride in a car with a senior
sounds-
officer. And there was no FTO, but it was a senior guy.
Yeah.
You just watch what he does. So you got the lecture right off the bat.
Yeah.
You stay on the right-hand side. You keep your mouth shut. Don't plan on talking on the radio, and you're not driving the car. So we've got the rules down. So we went all day. It was day shift, which I was not a big fan of because I had this thing in my head about day shift, nothing happens. A lot of police officers are killed on day shift.
Yeah.
So that's a really bad mindset.
Okay.
So we got to the end of the shift, an hour and a half from the end of the shift on days. And my partner had a court case up in the district court. So we drove down into the basement of the police station, which is, as you know, if you're going to wreck a car, it'll be down there, and because it's very tight. And so all the parking spaces were taken. There was like 1 or 2 cars already parked in the aisle. And if you were really, really good, you could maybe get by them, but you're talking paper thin on both sides. So we managed to get the car parked. The sergeant happened to be down there, and he said, what are you guys doing? And my partner said, well, I got a court case upstairs. And you could see the wheels going around in the sergeant's head. He said, all right, you head up to the court case. He said, I can't have you park this car. So you take this car, do not go into service.
Yeah.
Drive around downtown for the next 45 minutes or so.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Do not make a traffic stop.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, yes, sir.
Yeah. Yep.
I am so about this.
We're going to see what this
man.
Oldsmobile's got here in about 30 seconds.
Yeah. I'm all man. I can do this all day long. So I drive out. And, of course, what's the first thing I do? You're in a patrol car, fully marked, overheads on it.
That's right.
Put your lid
Put
on.
that hat on.
That's right.
I want people to know there's a police officer in this car.
That's right. New sheriff in
You
town.
know, the first traffic light, you pull up and the little kids in the car and they're waving, and you just look over and you do the
Yep.
nod.
That's right.
You know, so I'm out. I'm in a car. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. I'm scared to death.
Yeah.
Scared to death. And drive around the block. Well, the block got bigger. Driving down Washington Avenue, 5 lanes. It was 5 lanes, 2 on each side in the turn lane. Traffic was moderate. That was back when the Diamond Rio truck plant was there at the railroad tracks. Huge facility. And going back, my father had moved us from Buffalo because he worked for a company that hauled Oldsmobiles.
Okay.
Brand new Oldsmobiles. They had opened up a terminal here in Lansing, and he thought the loads would be better here, which they turned out to be, because we had a factory here. They're making the cars right here. So I knew that they took these big beautiful Diamond Rio truck tractors, semi-tractors, and they would build these, and they would take them over to their yard, and that's where they would call them piggyback them. They would deliver them that way. So as a little kid, I would be over to that yard. I got to ride in every kind of new Oldsmobile, the hot ones, the 442s, everything, and got to see the new cars before anybody else, and this was a big deal back then. So I'm driving south towards the Rio plant, and it's a beautiful day. I've got on, we used to have a light blue shirt. You don't really even have a blue that light in here. It is almost a white shirt with patches. We had short sleeve shirts.
Yeah.
They had just gone to short sleeve shirts and ties.
Okay.
It could be 90 degrees out.
Yeah,
They
that's
had to
right.
tie 'em, but they had just gone to short sleeve shirts. So I had this on, and I'm driving along, patrolling smartly.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the parking lot across from the Rio plant, they had a showroom there, and they had a parking lot, and there was like 5 of these large truck tractors lined up to turn out onto Washington Avenue, and they were going to go past me going back north.
Yeah.
And I knew right where they were going. Well, because of traffic, et cetera, all of them got out but one. And he couldn't because there was cars coming north. So he stopped. Well, I noticed in my police observation skills I'd learned in the academy that walking south would turned out to be an 80-year-old Greek immigrant who was 5'5" if you stood him straight. With him hunched over, he was probably 5'3". And he's shuffling along the sidewalk, and he's coming up to this beautiful Diamond Rio truck with the chrome stacks, and they used to have the flippers on them, and they're sitting there just flipping. And I'm thinking, that's a beautiful truck. And, that guy's he's going to walk right in front of that truck. And he's not moving very fast. And there was a break in traffic, and I was far enough away at the railroad tracks. The flippers went up.
Oh, no.
The black smoke went out. He moved forward just with that truck, just as the man was right dead center of the hood. The hood was 6'6" inches under further investigation,
Yeah.
and he never saw him. Because he
Oh,
had been
no.
looking. He pulled out, he knocked him down, which was survivable because of the clearance.
Mm-hmm.
But as he was turning, that brought the rear duals over, and he ran over him with the rear duals, literally caught him in the duals, wrapped him through the duals,
man.
dragged him all the way out to the turn lane, spit him out, and the truck continued north. Now, I don't really remember any of what happened next. I apparently pulled the patrol car up and blocked traffic from running over him in the street, turned the overheads on, must have got on the radio and gave the description of the truck and told them where I thought it was going.
Yeah.
One of our motor officers stopped the truck as it was turning into where I said it was going to be going, and the driver had no idea.
Oh, my goodness.
Because it was a 15,000-pound empty tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15,000 pounds. So the suspension's so heavy that it would have just felt like him going out the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah. Yeah.
The man was still alive. So academy skills, I run to the trunk, I get the first aid kit, which was a joke. This little first aid kit with
That's
a bunch of 4x4s and
That's
some
right.
Band-Aids and some, insect cream. Are you kidding me? His right arm was just about severed from his body, pulled loose.
Yeah.
His body was crushed and he was conscious.
Oh,
Didn't run over his chest or his head. I grabbed my first aid kit, and it was obvious this isn't going to work. I run back up. Again, I don't remember calling it in. I obviously called in the location. So I got down with him in the street, down on my knees and haunches, and I'm trying to kind of hold him, and I'm trying to pack what gauzes I had into the armpit area to try to slow it down. There was a bar right next to the parking lot that the trucks had come out of, and a guy came out, and he had the white apron on, and I'm assuming he was the bartender. Somebody had gone in and said what had happened. He came out and he said, "Can you use these?" And he had a stack of clean bar towels. And so I took these towels and I just packing them in his arm. Yeah, I don't even know who the man was, never got his name or anything. So I'm holding this guy. Now, back in those days, the department didn't buy bulletproof vests.
Yeah.
You had to buy your own.
Okay.
And so my first year, I made about $7,500. So $150, $175 vest was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I bought a brand new second chance vest, and it had the covers on it that you could wash. I've always kept this, my original vest.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see this,
Oh, wow.
but this belongs to my 80-year-old Greek friend.
Wow.
And I kept it as a reminder. And he bled profusely, and he stayed alive.
That's how close you got to him, Tommy.
Oh, I was on top of him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally on top of him trying to pack these towels and hold them to slow the bleeding down. And he was just, everything was blood. In my arms, my shirt up to my patches, my arms' skin was completely covered in blood. We didn't know anything about bloodborne pathogens. We
Sure.
didn't have rubber gloves. It was a combat situation.
Sure.
Combat medic.
Yep.
And I bled right through my pants. My underwear was soaked in blood. My shirt, my T-shirt was soaked. I learned a rule there, a tip. Always carry a clean T-shirt, pair of skivvies, and some
Yep.
socks in your locker
That's right.
because I
never
didn't
know.
have anything to change into when
That's
I
right.
got to the station. So anyway, everybody showed up. The fire department got there, and it took some time to try to get they had wooden backboards that they would try to raise them up, and I mean, the poor guy was crushed. And I was talking to him the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was also telling him, we're going to get you to the hospital. We're going to get you fixed up. And got him lifted up, and a sergeant showed up. And thankfully, there was no discussion about what are you doing down
Sure.
here. He just simply said, stay with him.
Yep.
Don't worry about your car. We'll take care of it.
Gives a damn.
In
about
other
the car.
words, what he was saying was stay with him because he's going to be evidence here soon because there's no way he's going to survive this.
Right. Right.
So we loaded him into the ambulance, and the hospital was only a mile or so
Right.
to Ingham Medical. And as they had the trauma room ready, and it was a rough ride, and I'm right over the top of him still. And, we kind of had EMTs, not paramedics so much back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're doing what they can, but there's nothing really we can do. And he's just smashed. And I remember, and I'll tell you, and I think the reason I kept this was, first of all, never forget how things can turn to crap in an instant.
Sure.
The other lesson was, no matter if it's your first day or your last day, people expect you to know what you're doing. You're a police officer. You're in uniform. Act like it.
Yep.
And so use the skills you've been taught. And they don't want to hear that. I'm brand new. That's not going to cut it.
No way.
So as we're backing up, they're opening the back doors. It was the weirdest thing. And I looked at him. I was right over the top of his face. And I said, we're at the hospital. We're going to get you fixed. And his eyes were open. He couldn't speak, or he didn't speak. But with his eyes, he communicated to me, and it was clear as a bell, as clear as if he wrote it down, that I don't know who you are, young man, but thanks for sticking with me, and I'm going to go now. And he died. He died right there. And hit me like a ball bat.
Oh, yeah.
And we got him out. They had the trauma room ready. They got in there. They worked him for maybe 10 minutes, but it was to no avail.
Yep.
There was nothing left to save.
Yeah.
And so if you've ever seen the movie Carrie, where the blood comes down on her on the stage, this is me. I'm in the hallway looking into the trauma room. I am covered in blood. I've got blood everywhere. And now the adrenaline is starting to leave, and I'm starting to shake.
Yep.
I'm shaking like a dog crapping peach pits at a picnic. And I'm just shaking, and I can't stop it.
Oh, wow.
And so finally a nurse saw this. She came down, and she was so sweet, and she gathered me up with her arms, and she said, let's get you in a room and get you cleaned up because you're scaring people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, you're a police officer,
Sure.
you're in
That's
uniform, and you're coming apart at the seams right in front of everybody.
You're human, right, Tommy? You're human at the end of the day.
And I was young.
You're human.
I was, 21 years old?
Yeah.
So of course, I got to the station, and then my vest, we tried to wash it best we could. I had to throw away the vest covers. But that gentleman and I, at that day, at the moment of his death, had bonded. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to forget that.
That's
that
powerful.
humanity of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know anything about him.
Yep.
Other than what I found out, that he was a Greek immigrant at the time, had come over from the old country, if you will. That's what they would say. So I kept this.
Wow.
And I keep it now. So it still chokes me up 53 years later.
Yeah, you bet.
Because I told him he would be okay, and I wasn't able to come through with that.
Yeah.
And so that was another lesson. The interesting thing is, the next day, I was assigned on day shift, and I probably went and walked the beat. Nothing was said.
Oh, man.
Like, how you doing? Or
Sure.
it was kind of tough, or nobody said nothing. Nobody made any fun of me or nothing. Nobody said a word. And I thought, okay, all right, toughen it up. That was one day. What's the next day going to be like? And that was my whole career.
Yes.
I had a career that was just outstanding in as much as, if you wanted to be a cop, I got plenty of doses of being a cop.
Yeah.
Within the first 10 months. So a half a year later, I'm in my first shootout with a homicide guy.
Yeah.
And
So I have to ask, how did your partner's testimony go that day in court?
Yeah, man.
It just got lost. It's like,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sit there, and listen. I'm not saying that command doesn't have a job to do, right?
Right.
And they gave you those instructions because they needed you to understand that there's a way to do things, right?
Right.
I'm telling you right to your face, and I'm sitting next to a guy. I did what you described many times. Like, what? No, that doesn't sound right. Like, no, I can do more. Or if I'm not being asked to be in court, why am I benched?
Right.
Certain things that where you just followed your instincts.
Right.
And you just did what you felt like you needed to do. You needed to be there for that guy.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, if you weren't there for that guy, like, nobody would have been.
well, and let's just expound on that a little bit. That's as far as I'm concerned now. I look back on my whole career. That's a divine intervention. He and I were supposed to meet that day, and unfortunately, it was under very sad circumstances. But for whatever comfort I could give him, and support while he was dying. I was there for him.
Yep.
I was destined to be there for him.
Yep.
And but it's like when you used to go to the old meat markets and you want to buy fish or you want to buy steak or ground beef, and you tell them how much basically you want, and as they keep putting scoops or on the scale keeps getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and what ends up happening, and happened to me as well as a lot of my colleagues, probably all of us, if you don't somehow process this in some way, this begins to add up and add up and add up until you see such horrific, there's no doubt in my mind, there isn't any one of us in this room or we could go down to the station or you see any police officer anywhere that's been on for any time. First of all, they've probably saved a life or tried. And secondly, they have faced death.
Yep.
There's no doubt.
No doubt.
And they could be even your slugs on your department who you don't have a lot of respect for. I think just about 99.9% of all of us at some point in your career have done those things. And so when I tell civilians, Law Enforcement Day or something, thank these people because they've all seen death.
Yep.
They've all faced death. And they probably have saved a life in some way, whether it's CPR or pulling somebody out of a burning car or whatever it is. It's just what you do.
It's just what you do.
And so that was the beginning of that for me. And like I said, within, and I don't know if maybe doing the right things as a young officer before I was, we had to go through a confirmation process. I don't know if they still have that, where you'd had to go a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And your
there's
whole,
a probationary period. Yeah.
file, everything, complaints and everything, would go in front of the police commissioners.
Yep.
And they would take a look at it and vote yay or nay. And if it was nay, you were out of a job.
Yeah.
You were just a probie then.
Yep.
If it was yay, you were confirmed. You got a certificate. You had a nice gold seal on it. You were actually now an official confirmed Lansing police officer.
Yeah.
That file just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like I said, within 10 months, actually at about the 7th or 8th month, they decided at the same time Detroit Police Department had an operation called Stress. Stop the robberies, enjoy safe streets.
Yep.
This was a special unit that went into high crime areas, and they hammered it hard. If there was an armed robbery or whatever, they would just saturate that area and stop everything that moved, and their arrest rate was huge. Their shootout rate was also huge too, because they were getting bad guys. Well, we were having a lot of crime, armed robberies, gas stations. You don't see that so much anymore. Quality dairies, whatever, those kind of, they're armed robberies. So they decided to come up with a saturation unit in Lansing.
Yeah.
Kind of patterned after that. So they took about 14 police officers and a sergeant, half of which were senior dogs, half of which were runners.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like get him, bro.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
right.
were the
Start
runner.
somewhere.
You were the runner. And so they went through everybody's files. And if you had a lot of complaints or you made stupid decisions, they didn't want you. You'd have to almost go through an oral board. I get picked on this. So I am like in young rookie heaven. I'm not even confirmed, but I'm working with some legends.
Yeah.
And they're going to teach you how to do it. And matter of fact, in January of 1974, on a winter month, our unit alone caught 9 armed robbers.
Wow.
9.
Wow.
They couldn't get away. We got the getaway cars, the getaway drivers. We got everybody. I mean, they would put out an armed robbery call, and you got to remember, this is before 911. This is when it was 372-9400. That was the number you called. So there was some lag time there, and we were knocking them down right and left. And there were some shots fired and some things. I mean, these were armed robbers. There were some bad hombres out there.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because the rumor was, and I never saw any documentation to this, but some of the outside communities began to complain because we were pushing all the crime out of Lansing, and they went into the other areas.
Oh yeah.
which I guess was a good problem to have.
You can't
yeah.
control that.
No, you
Hey,
can't
keep that
control
dog
it.
on your side of the
Yeah,
fence, man.
but
you can't control
But we
that.
would take cars apart. You know, we worked on our own channel. We had our own cars. You'd stop a car and you'd get on channel 3 and you'd say, I need some saturation at such and such a location. You'd get 3 or 4 cars show up and take the car apart. Seats were out, everything's out.
Oh, yeah.
And back then you couldn't have marijuana or the smell of marijuana
That's
or
right.
any of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we were very successful. Well, also then that led to my first shooting. 10 months on. It was a North End call.
Yeah.
It was I guess you'd call it a threesome, if you will. And
Yeah.
apparently the husband finally complained about his wife being seen by this third guy. And then he took offense to it. So he comes over with a gun and shoots him dead in front of the entire family in the living room. Shoots the husband dead. And he then runs out of the house. He gets into, and I'm a car guy, he gets into a 1974 white over navy blue Monte Carlo.
Oh,
Chevy
man.
Monte Carlo. There were none of them in
Yeah.
town. This
Yeah.
was a brand new car.
Yeah.
And white over blue. And it's like, okay. And you get the mindset in your head, which
Yeah.
I know all of you have had. We're not going to find this, or I'm not
Yeah.
going to find it. But
Yep.
so I was in this unit, and I was in a unmarked detective unit, but I was in uniform.
Yep.
One of the uniform district cars spots a white over blue Monte Carlo on M43 headed west, and I thought, well, it's not the guy. But I'm thinking, how many are there in there? I have not seen any of these yet. New model,
Yeah.
and taken back to my dad's with the cars. I was all about new models, so I start heading that way. The car turns down a side street, gets over by Chestnut and Lapeer. The guy, the officer doesn't light him up yet. He wants to get some backup there, and the guy pulls over on his own, and his driver's window is down 6 inches. What we didn't know was he was armed with 2 handguns.
Okay.
So the uniform officer that stopped him, we used to shoot every month out at the range, and he had failed to change out the ammunition from range bullets, just flat bullets.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and so in that haste of course, there's always a breakdown of radio communication. So what happens is I come north on a street that they're coming south. I'm driving right into it, and I realize, oh crap, this is not good.
Yeah.
And I'm flying, and so I stand on the brakes, and the guy is starting to come out of the car on his own. Well, I think he was going to probably try to take out the officer until I come flying up at 80 miles an hour and locked him up, made so much noise he jumped back in the car. So I get out, I draw my service revolver, I come around the back of the car, and I made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
For some reason, it was in my head that we have to stop this guy right now. This is the guy, probably. It was a Monte Carlo with an opera window.
Yep.
So I'm on the passenger side, and I'm looking through that opera window, and he had both hands on the steering wheel. I thought, we're good. So I had my revolver in my hand, my left hand. I threw that door open, I swung in like this, and I swear to God, where he came up with that gun, I have no idea. But he stuck a .32 revolver right in my face.
Oh, man.
And I knew this, first of all, was the guy, and I knew that I was dead.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is a shame. You're
Yeah.
21, and your folks are going to be really, no, really,
Yeah.
folks are going to
Yeah.
be really disappointed. And it's really weird. Everything slowed way down, and it was very peaceful.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, I'm gonna start cranking them. Now we're close quarters, and I start shooting inside the car. And I have to think it goes back to divine intervention. Each one of us is assigned a guardian angel at birth, and they're not recycled. Now, in your guys' case, they're so tired they couldn't be recycled.
Right.
Same with mine.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind he shoved me down because I was standing next to the curb. So both feet were next to the curb. And as I tried to back away, both feet at the same time catch that curb as I was shooting, and I went down hard.
Yeah.
Well, picture yourself this. You've got a uniform officer and a second uniform officer that shows up. Shots are fired, and I go down.
Yeah.
And not go down easy. I go
Yeah.
down hard. I mean, they opened up.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Ventilated
They opened
everything.
up.
Yeah.
Those range bullets didn't break the back window because it
Yeah.
was on an angle.
Skip
It
it.
left 5 beautiful
Little
skid
launch
marks
marks.
on the glass right up into the vinyl
Yeah.
roof. And as I jumped back up to fire more, I noticed there were headlights coming at us, and it was
Yeah.
a patrol car making the same mistake that I had made, coming the wrong way because there was a radio,
Yeah. Snafu.
as a marked car.
Yeah.
And it really was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. They hit it about 35 miles an hour head on.
Man.
Both cars hit, they rotated, the rear ends lifted up and came back down, and I thought, oh shit, are we in trouble? We got a lot of reports to write. Oh my God.
Beat 5.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a traffic
I
unit
know,
over here
man. Yeah. And so the guy can't get away, and then he's injured and in the whole ordeal, and so we run up on the car, and I'm wandering around in the street with my handgun in my hand, and
Wow.
I don't even know I have my gun in my hand. And so one of the old salts, Charlie Shawnee,
Yeah, baby.
he was the man to have on the scene. And
Yeah.
he shows up. And I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, holster that weapon, boy.
Yeah.
Boy was the
Yeah.
name. And I thought, are you talking to me? I mean,
Yeah.
because I didn't even realize I still had my gun in my hand. He said, I said, holster that weapon, boy. And I had to look down. And, I got a gun in my
Dang
hand.
it. Yeah.
And I put it back in my holster. And he gathered us all around. He said, okay, how many, who shot? Everybody put their hands up. Don't walk up to the car. Stay right here. All right, now you guys get in a car that's not involved, and you go down to the station, you start writing your reports. And they handled it. And the car that was coming, the patrol car that was hit, the officer got out, and he was as white as a sheet. And he was limping.
Yeah.
And I thought we must have hit him, or he got injured in the crash. And so I walked over to him, and he was a senior officer too. And I said, "Are you okay? Are you hit?" He said, "No." And he literally did
Check himself
he
out.
did the
Yeah.
checking. And I
Yeah.
said, "You're limping." And he looked, and he pulled his foot up. He had torn the heel off his shoe. When he saw the muzzle blast from
Yeah.
the car, he dove to the right, caught his foot on the brake pedal, tore the heel off. When he did that, he turned the wheel, which turned it right into the path of the other car when they hit, and he was fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you talk about this incident, and it's like now we're talking about leadership, and that's what I really want to talk to you
Right.
about. Is once you acquired all this,
Right.
and now you've taken on the role of leadership, and that's what I really want to talk about.
Sure. I want to say maybe in January, because it was a terrible winter night. The roads were snow covered completely. Had the armory, so it was my old armory, 46 MP company, where the new station is being built.
Okay.
Yep.
And there was a large Hispanic wedding.
Yeah.
Huge. And so
That could be a problem because I'm Hispanic and things could get a little dicey.
I don't want to step on any toes, but there was
When the tequila gets a flowing,
Yeah.
Órale.
well, there was alcohol involved, and apparently, I know this is going to shock you.
Yeah.
But somewhere after midnight, there began to be a fight inside.
Yeah.
It got a little out of hand, so they called the police. So they sent 2 district cars and a sergeant. They weren't there 30 seconds, and they were calling for help.
Yeah.
Even the sergeant was calling for help. So that was a
Yeah.
And then help started getting there, and they called for help.
Oh boy.
This turned out to be 10 or 11 agencies responded. MSP came all the way from Williamston. Now, you got to remember, the roads are completely snow-covered. You can't see the lanes. It's slick as can be. Everybody, Eaton County, Ingham County,
Yeah.
everybody that had overhead lights is coming, and they keep calling for help. I'm at the station. There was a copper ahead of me, great guy. His name was Greg McCauley, and he was from New York City.
Okay.
And he was from, I think, Long Island, and he had the accent to go with it.
Yes.
He was a good Irish cop, big dimples, dark-haired guy, good-looking guy. He was a union rep. They hated him. And, of course, we're getting ready to, I think we brought in some arrests or something, and it got done with that. We're down in the basement getting our cars, and these guys start screaming for help, and they keep screaming for help. And, I mean, it's like, let's go. So he jumps in his car, I jump in mine. I follow him down Capitol Avenue, but I'm a good block behind him. He's got a good lead. And, I mean, you can only go, if you're doing 50 or 60, you are on angel's wings because nothing that you're in is touching the ground. It's all that snow, and it got the big snow cyclone, I follow him, and we get down to approaching Baker Street and Washington Avenue, T intersection. We had just gone to the so 76, early 77, because we had bicentennial patrol cars. It was the first year they ever allowed an American flag decal on a patrol car.
Oh, wow.
For the bicentennial,
Yep.
1976. And it was a waving flag decal, and it was on the front fenders behind the headlights. So we're headed down, and there was one car on Washington Avenue, one car, and it was a big Ford Galaxy full of people. Oh. Like 6. And it's meandering along, and Greg's got his lights. We're running lights and siren, and I'm putting the boot stole best because I'm trying to catch up, and they're still screaming for help. So your adrenaline is pumping. And as we got to Baker Street, the big Ford decides, no, we want to turn left here, and swings right over into the path of that patrol car, probably doing 60 or 70. He hit him square in the rear end. Oh my God. It just was an explosion of, and there's a little building, if you remember, at that intersection that was a barber shop.
Yeah.
Also at that intersection are several poles. There's a telephone pole. There's a great big steel traffic light pole. There's several poles. This could not be done again if he tried, but he put that patrol car, or God put that patrol car between the poles. He did not hit the poles, or it would have been really, really bad, to the point there was no room, and it sheared the decal off the right front fender about 7 feet up in the air. The car hit the curb and went airborne between these poles, sheared the decal off, came back down and crashed into a snowbank. And the siren's still going, the lights are going, the officer's unconscious. I stop. I see all these heads moving around in the car, but the bumper's in the back seat, they really tagged them.
Oh, man.
Junk all over the road. And so, I run to the patrol car.
Yeah.
And I can't get the door open. And I'm reefing on the door, and the siren's going, and I finally get the door open and bend the door open, and I'm yelling at Greg, and he's like out, and are you all right? And I'm trying to reach in and shut that siren off, and I shut the siren off. The overheads are still going slowly. He finally comes to. I said, man, are you all right? Are you all right? And he says, yeah, I am. And he starts coming around, and I said, I think they're all right too. Everybody's moving. I'll call it in. He said, go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I called in the accident, and I jumped in the car, and I headed down a few more blocks to the armory. And it was, well, when I first got in, they have those, what do you call those stone floors that are the terrazan, or it's you see them in the municipal buildings. They're a stone floor, mosaic kind of thing. They last forever. They'll be here at the end of time.
Yeah.
And they were covered in blood. There was blood all over the place.
Just chaos.
And, it was
huge
fight. Blood from cops, blood from fighters. And I go inside, and they've got several arrests. The place is just a disaster. They've got more arrests than they've got cars. Like I said, 10 or 11 agencies made it, multiple units. MSP came all the way from Williamston, and when they went through that accident scene, they must have been doing 80. They just flew through that accident scene. And we got all of these individuals gathered up and handcuffed, and some of our people were, like I said, walking wounded. Some of theirs were walking wounded, and all of a sudden, out of the dust through the front door walks our chief of police with a flashlight in his hand,
Yeah.
in his trench coat at 2 o'clock in the morning, obviously right out of bed.
Yeah.
And he looks around. He looks down at the floor. He said, "Whose blood is this?" I said, "I think it's theirs, boss." "Good."
Jesus, man.
And he went in, and we took these people today, and it was a big thing in the community and everything. But I mean, if you went into this hall where they had all these, it was like a tornado hit it.
This is a wedding.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
something.
you know how that goes. You got different families,
Oh,
or maybe
sure.
there's a beef there,
Oh,
and
sure.
whatever.
That's right.
It really blossomed, and I mean,
Yeah.
they were up to their neck
It
in
was
alligators.
in another thing.
Oh, yeah. and you know, you also know how it goes too. When the police show up, then all of a sudden they kind of become the target too.
Yeah. You
So
put
it's
your
like-
hands on somebody,
Oh, yeah.
now they're like, okay,
And- yeah.
don't touch my
And-
grandma, don't touch my brother.
And again, it was at a time, so it would have been early 1977, I'd say January of
Yeah.
77. So it was of a time that if you called the police for a big fight, and it was a big fight, they're coming, and a lot of them are coming, and this is going to get pretty violent.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it did. And,
I never heard this story, by the way. I never heard the martial
it's a
throwdown.
legend. It's a
Yeah.
legend in my generation.
it
Everybody
is.
knew what the armory
is.
was.
I
And,
remember a story that was similar to that with that type of response, and it was Larry Klaus on Rulison Street. But I don't know if you responded to that or not, but he said it was just
it's an all
Man.
hands on deck.
yeah, it's just, one of those things where it's just like, that was the worst altercation situation we ever had to deal
Well, and I've been at multiples of
Yeah.
those where there was not enough, and they were really violent, and the crowds
Yeah.
were violent, and we had one down at Immaculate Heart on South Cedar Street, and that wasn't a wedding. It's when you get to a certain age, there's a party. I don't know. If
Oh,
it's for the-
quinceañera.
Yes.
It's another Latino event.
Yeah.
See a thing.
There's kind of a pattern here.
Your people need to hold their liquor, bro. Sounds like to me.
You're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong.
And that
You're
was
not
the
wrong.
same situation.
Yeah.
It got out of hand within
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
families, turned into a huge brawl.
Yeah.
Two or three of the officers made the call, and they were screaming, and the helicopters over above, and they kept saying, "You better get some units down here."
Yeah.
Because everybody had spilled outside in the parking lot. The interesting thing there, talking about, and you don't want to bring more violence than is necessary to a situation,
Sure.
especially nowadays.
Right.
But we had the whole city was there. Plus,
Yeah.
I think we had everybody else is there too because of the call for help. This fight lasted for almost 40 minutes. Neighbors had all come out on their street and stood on the curbs, and you couldn't tell if they were yay or nay. But it got and we were dragging people out. And literally piling them in the backs of the patrol cars. I think in our car we
Yeah.
had 2 or 3 piled in the back in various stages of consciousness, and
You don't.
And the last one is we dragged him out into the street. He ended up going down on the and there was a car trying to make its way between the parked cars on the street that's to the south, and it stopped, and we got this person shoveled into the car, and I see this lady, obviously a neighbor, and man, she's got a look on her face, and she come off that curb, and she come right over there like, she said, "Officer, I want to tell you, go back and get some more." I'm like, "Yes, ma'am."
Oh my gosh.
So I mean,
Yeah.
things just change, and
Bad things happen, right? When
bad
when
things happen.
when a situation like that cannot be tempered down, the next thing is loss of life, and we don't want that, right?
And that would have been the next stabbings or a shooting
Sure.
or something, and that didn't happen. Although those kinds of things did happen.
Yeah.
Where somebody had a gun and fired into the
Sure.
crowd, kind of thing.
It's almost like, and I'll just touch on this briefly, Rob, because you're gonna give me a look. It's almost like Welcome Week in East Lansing, right? It's almost like Welcome Week.
Yeah.
Well, when things get out of control, the police have to respond, and if they don't respond swiftly and precisely, people are gonna get hurt. and bad things are going to happen.
Well,
And sometimes people just don't understand
and
that.
then it gets into a mob mentality, and even for the officers, it gets into a survival mob mentality
Yeah.
kind of thing, where you're trying to do whatever you can to get some kind of handle on this, because it's gone right from DEFCON 2 to DEFCON 1. We're
for
in
sure.
attack mode now.
So just to end on this, as far as the Latino tendencies, I remember when I was working, we had a Thanksgiving thing break out, and I'm going to leave the officer's name unsaid because this was hilarious. So it turns out, okay, disruption at this house thing and whatever, and it was a quinceañera, I think, something. And
Look how you roll your R. That's very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
So everything's fine until Grandma socks one of us. Now I'm going to leave his name out of this.
Yeah.
But Grandma came out of her wheelchair and touched one of us.
Oh man,
And when we got touched, all hell broke loose.
That's
'cause
it.
Grandma was going to go to jail.
Yeah.
All the nephews are like, you don't touch Grandma. And
yeah.
it was a thing.
Uh-huh.
And
So
that's what
the next
yeah.
day, of course, because we all support ourselves and we're trying to, make sure we're okay. We got through this thing. We're like, so you got punched by an 86-year-old lady?
But she went to jail.
That's right. Yeah. She went to jail. Yeah. So, to your point,
Now,
man.
as a little disclaimer, I worked the North End here, and it was one of my favorite places. I
met my wife in the North End.
They were. I mean, I ate some of the best food.
Heck yeah.
The El Tango was in service at that time, and it was my district. And I remember sitting right at the traffic light on a Saturday night. Everybody'd been drinking and fighting, and they would all go to the El Tango for food afterwards. And when I was a brand new rook, a senior officer brought me in and said, "Do you notice anything?" As we were going to stop and get a pop and meet the people that owned it. The tables were all bolted to the floor. That caught my attention. I said, "Tables are bolted." He said, "That's for a reason."
Yeah.
Because they're going to mix it up in here. And people were actually killed in that bar.
Yeah.
Or in that restaurant.
Right.
But this particular incident, they said, put out a big fight. They had 18 districts then. I was District 17. That was right on my border. I said, well, I'm right here. I'm looking through them big side windows. I don't see a fight. I'll handle it. Because I worked that area all the time, and I knew everybody.
Yeah.
I said, there's no fight. I went inside, and I went right over a combination plate immediately. All hell broke loose. It was all hands on deck.
Go.
Oh, man. I cleared the whole plate with the whole table was and down we went, and it was an all North End call. Everybody was there, and
To your point, though, listen, we all know this because we were all committed to sectors, districts, whatever you want to call them. The majority of the people that lived in any of the places that we were responsible for were great people.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Oh, they
this
were.
This city has phenomenal people in it. It is what it is. It would be utopia, right, if that wasn't the case. You knew who your shitbirds were. You knew who the people that were going to cause the big disruptions. I mean, I met my wife. She's Polish, right, in the North End. And when we first couple dates we went on, she ate more Mexican food than I did. And I'm full blown Puerto Rican. I'm like, yo, can we eat something else, maybe? Like a steak and some potatoes? She's like, no, you don't want a chimichanga? No, I don't want a damn chimichanga.
But you develop a certain respect with the people in there. And
So do a timeline real quick of when everything you did up until the point that you got the idea that you wanted to be a command officer.
Well, I was having a lot of fun doing everything that I was doing. First of all, I was in these specialized units. I was getting picked for these specialized units. But I also had come to the realization that you can't have a 25-year career chasing taillights, because this is going to be, it's going to be hard on you. You need to, I went to personnel and training for a year and a half. That was the dark side of the moon. I mean, I'd not seen the administrative side in the hiring process, hiring civilians, hiring police officers. I think I did 26 police officers. The background investigation, everything that was involved. It was huge. And but it was a good experience for me. But as time went on, and then I got in I was a motorcycle officer. Man, I'm telling you.
You got the shades?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hold on. Put the shades on. License and registration.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Look at. Come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, man.
That's right. I have to say, I need to see your driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration, please. Now, the thing is, you can't tell where I'm looking.
Yeah.
That was the other side. Other than it was you were really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to tell you, these are 1983 vintage Ray-Bans. Okay, so I kept them in a safe place. I pay homage to these. But I could look all around the inside of the car while people were moving around and getting in their glove box because I rode solo. Used to call it solo motorcycle. That was your assignment.
Yeah.
For 5 years, just under 50,000 city miles. On Cycle 60. Had to rebuild the motor once. Had them put a competition cam in it the second time. So I could have a little bit more oomph getting out of the hole.
Yeah.
We didn't have radar on the bikes then. We used to have to actually physically get out into traffic like
Pace.
a cowboy with a herd of horses or cows and pace people.
Yeah.
You got good at your trade. We had 14 bikes, I think,
wow.
2 sergeants. We had a whole traffic division.
Wow.
Then we got handheld radars after about the 3rd year. I mean, I loved that job. You were filthy. You either froze in the spring or you, at 90-degree days, you had wool pants, my boots. I still have my breeches.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, on the night shift, when I was a sergeant, sometimes it's like the old thing with your parents. If you ask permission, they're going to say no.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
So there's no sense of asking. I'm the senior sergeant, so I made arrangements with an unknown motorcycle officer to keep his motorcycle unlocked. So at night, I'd get all the other guys to work, all the sergeants. There weren't enough command cars. Instead of doubling up, I said, well, I've got to take care of that. Grab me a roll of crime scene tape and a PBT. I go down, throw my breeches on, have a helmet, put my boots. I go down, fire that bike up, and I'd make calls on that.
That's
It was great.
That's
and
awesome.
When Fisher Body was still there, I knew when they would get off shift, and it was like the Daytona 500.
Yep. Yeah.
From Verlinda on Saginaw, there'd be 7, 8 cars doing like 30 over the speed limit, all running east. By the time we get to Marshall Street, I'd have every one of them stopped. One motorcycle, got the strobe lights going. I'd get them all up on the sidewalk, and these are all worker guys.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't care about the rank. They didn't realize it. They all, every one of them, somebody would always say, "I didn't know you guys ran bikes at night."
Yeah.
Well, you know now.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, gentlemen, get your paperwork out. Now, so what's the big race here? I notice you're the leader. You're kind of leading the pack here. And, well, we just got out of work. I said, I'm aware of that. I said, I could tag all of you. I've been with you since, back at Saginaw and Verlinda, and I could tag you all, but I'm in a good mood tonight.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to tell you what. I want you to go back to the shop tomorrow, and I want you to let the guys know that we got motors out here working at night.
Yeah.
And we're going to start hammering this. So are we good? Everybody had they're all working guys. They got licenses.
Yeah.
They got proof insurance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's good. They
That's right.
appreciated it, and I just had a blast.
That's right.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So I rode for 5 years, and but that ate up. So I had 17 years on when I decided I need to do something here. I'd like to. My initial goal as an early police officer was to make it to first lieutenant. We had first lieutenants and second lieutenants.
Okay.
We had staff sergeants, and they were made then to be second lieutenants. I thought, because the first lieutenants ran the shift, they were like the police chief on their shift, and I thought, that is the job. So I started studying, and I took, at 17 years, I took the written test, and I had a lot of experience. Matter of fact, one of the oral board questions was a very involved one about if a truck went underneath the Potter Park Bridge, then it was like a fuel tanker. That was my call. I made that on a motorcycle.
Oh, man.
5 o'clock in the afternoon, ripped the whole top portion of the trailer open, gasoline pouring out of it.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
What do they call that bridge now? Penny, right?
Yeah, right. And so this was, if this goes up, we're all dead.
Yeah.
This is like a
my
bomb.
God.
And I'm thinking, if there's a train that comes, we're dead. The vapors and stuff. anyway, successfully got it handled. I had my bike. I had to actually stop a civilian, and I deputized him quick. Put your hand on my badge. Stay at this motorcycle and turn everybody northbound. Turn them around. Turn them around. You have my authority. And I tiptoed down because I couldn't run down with because I had heel plates and I was afraid I'd spark.
Oh, wow. There's
So
that
went
much.
under the bridge to do the same
Yeah.
thing on the other side. And not surprisingly, somebody decided that they weren't going to listen to me. And as it turned out, it was somebody I'd arrested when I was working in SOD.
Yeah.
He already recognized me, and he wasn't going. He said, "I'm going through." I said, "No, you're not. You're not driving that car through that puddle of gas with a hot catalytic converter. You're out of your freaking mind."
Yeah.
He said, "I am," and he started forward, and so to all the traffic backed up behind him. So when the motor cop leans in and gets you in a headlock, and literally turns your car westbound on a north-south street so you won't drive it through a puddle of fuel
Yeah.
with a leaking semi-truck.
Yeah.
That was what was necessary to effect. And because he was in such danger, I extricated him through the vent window out onto the street and secured him and got a car, and he went to jail. Everybody else turned right around as soon as I said, "Yeah, I mean, so in the middle of this major
Oh, my
disaster, this
goodness.
guy's going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Right. We
That
went to
would've
court
been
on
a
that.
hell
The
of an
judge found.
explosion.
They'd
my
have never
God.
found us.
Yeah.
They've never found you, but I guarantee you that bridge would still be standing.
Oh, yeah, it would. It would.
Penny don't care.
Penny don't give a
Penny
flying
don't
fuck,
care.
bro.
But
That
anyway,
bridge is
getting
still there.
back-
What
yeah.
else you got?
So I had my 5 years, and at that time, they'd only let you run 5 years because your life expectancy was so thin at that
Yeah.
point. I was the only one out of my whole group that got hit and didn't go down. The others got hit. Some of them got hurt.
Yeah.
But I got hit, and that's an interesting story, too. But I kept it upright, and
Yeah.
I was able to maintain. I got a mover out of that one, too.
Yeah.
But I decided, you got to be off to bigger and better things, because when you're done with this, you're going to go back to the road, and that gets back to chasing taillights for a lifetime. It's
Yeah.
like, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
So I thought, I got to make the rank of sergeant. I was not impressed. I went up to DB and worked. I didn't like that because
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact that you have cases you'll never finish.
Yeah.
The only time, and I was working the kids sex unit.
Oh, man.
The subject matter was bad enough, but there were so many cases. There were 6 of us working them, and we just couldn't keep up. Just new cases every week. And so the only way you could get out from under that was retire, die, or get promoted.
Yeah.
That was it. That was your option. So I thought I got to really study. So I did. So I had 17 years on. I scored number 1.
Nice.
So the test went into effect, April 1st, and on April 22nd, the first opening came up, and I was promoted to sergeant, and I wanted to go back to the road because that was home, and I wanted to do it as a sergeant. And it was interesting. I'd like to think most everybody that I ever worked with or knew me at the PD either liked me and or respected me or both, and I was worried about some of the legends that I'm coming in as a night shift sergeant now, and now I'm going to be your boss. And I got to tell you, the respect that came from the guys, and maybe it was because I had 17 years on,
Yeah.
and I didn't jump on them and get right in everybody's face right away. I tried to kind of ease up, but my theory as being a police officer, and I would say to any young police officer, be fair but firm.
Yep.
You make a decision, stand by it. But if you're wrong, don't be afraid to adjust.
Yep.
But stand by your decision. Don't threaten. It's like children. Don't threaten them. Well, you do that again, I'm going to break your arm. Well, they know you're not going to do that.
Right.
So don't do that to an adult,
Right.
because they know you're not going to do that either. So
Sure.
your credibility goes right over the edge.
Yeah.
So I made sergeant in 1990. And matter of fact, there's a nice picture of me in a pile I gave you.
Nice.
I with my blouse on. I
Yeah.
had my original blouse updated at the time.
Yeah.
And but I loved that job.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was like leading your own army. I used to say when Chief Bowles was the chief, I worked for him up in personnel and training too when he was a captain. He was the chief at the time.
Yeah.
And I always felt pretty comfortable around him. And I
Yeah.
said, boss, I said, we got one thing in common. And he looked at me. He said, what's that? I said, you run it during the daytime, I'll run her at night.
Yeah.
Because I was the senior sergeant when we had
Yeah.
2 precincts, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
But we made it work. But I had such incredible troops working for me, man. And K-9 guys were just, the memories, the jobs well done. And I made sure I told the fellas and ladies that I'm going to make these calls with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there to critique you, although that's part of my job. But I'm there as a backup because, first of all, I don't want to miss a good fight.
Yeah.
And secondly, if there's going to be a situation where there's going to be a complaint, I'd rather be there to see it.
Yeah.
And that happened, I can't tell you how many times. Call this number regarding a kind. Listen to the whole story and say, well, I was there.
Yeah.
And I'm their supervisor, and that didn't happen quite the way you're describing it. So as far as I'm concerned, you don't have an issue here. You should be glad that you didn't go to jail. Have a nice night.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
that'd be the end of it,
Yep.
But my car 50, that was, I think, the only police caprice that came out of the Texas plant that had ceramic tiles underneath the hood so it wouldn't burn up on re-entry into the atmosphere. That was a legend car.
Yeah, man.
And
Man, those Caprices could
Yeah.
flat out get down.
Yeah, they could. Those
we had a double
LT1s.
shooting, which turned out to be a homicide. My canine guys. I mean, it was like a ballet. The officers knew exactly what they needed to do, and I was working with Chico Longoria. We always
Yep.
tried to double up as sergeants,
Yeah.
which I was the senior guy, so that was my rule.
Yeah.
And we were in 50. I was driving, and Fred Tabor had a
Freddie was my first FTO.
Yeah, well, he was FTOing.
Yeah.
And his officers en route to the call coming up MLK at Saginaw, running code, and the Cub must have said something to him like, "There's something coming up behind me."
Yeah.
Fred said, "Yeah." He said, "I looked back and said, oh, that's just a sergeant. I'd get over in the right lane if I were you."
Yeah.
And we got the bad guy, and
Freddie was good at getting the bad guy. He actually wasn't my first FTO. Phil Bailey was, but yeah, Freddie was.
Yeah.
You talk about sergeants, and clearly you remember this as a very important part of your career. I remember it. I remember the sergeants that meant a lot to me, the ones that impacted my career.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go off and start to name a bunch of them because I don't want to leave anybody out,
Sure.
but I'm going to. Dianese,
yeah, Joey.
Dave Dalkey, Nick Hewitt. My goodness. I mean, there was so many that from a command standpoint, you knew that they were there trying to solve the same issue you were.
Right.
They weren't trying to dictate how your style of policing was
Right.
going to get you to where you wanted to get. They trusted your style. Del
Yes.
Costanko, Larry Klaus,
Yes.
Snake,
Yes.
Persons.
Yeah.
I mean, just these guys that when you sat in lineup, you're like, I want to perform for him.
Right.
right.
When I hit the road, I want to do something that they hear on the radio and be like, that dude's out there working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you had so much respect for their style, their technique, their forgiveness, their discipline, all that stuff.
Right.
So it was such an important thing. Like Rob said earlier, yeah, we didn't go down that road, but man, were we molded and helped along the way by some phenomenal.
I've always
command
thought
officers.
that the rank of sergeant was the glue that held the place together.
I did too. I believe that.
Because as policies came from above, the sergeant was the filter that could kind of filter those and put those in place without people getting mad. You know
Yep.
what I mean? At command, I mean, some of the policies, you may not agree with, but it depends on how you sell that to your troops.
Yep.
The other thing I tried to point out to them, first of all, as long as everybody's still alive, we can probably fix this.
Yep.
The main thing is, do not lie to me.
Yep.
If you messed up, but if you were acting with good faith, and you can get across to me that you were acting in good faith, I will go to the 9th inning to bat for you to try to mitigate anything that's going to come down the pike, unless it's something that's just terribly outrageous.
Yeah.
But explain your thought process when you did this.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds legitimate. It's wrong for these reasons.
Yeah.
But I get where you were coming from at the moment,
Yep.
and I wasn't there. I also would, I could remember the guys, well, they work hard all night.
Yeah.
And there weren't very few restaurants that'd be open. There'd be one up on Northeast Street.
Yeah.
And they'd have 4 or 5 cars. Everybody can answer their calls. It's 4:30 in the morning. People are grabbing a little bite, taking a little, and they're together. It's almost like a little cub meeting there where they exchange
That's right.
information and the calls and what happened on that call, and so-and-so, I know him, and blah, blah. So there was good that came of that. But once in a great while, the executive lieutenant drive by, and then I'd get the note.
Yep.
You had 4 or 5 cars at that restaurant last night, 4:30. What's the deal? Okay, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
So I'd tell them, fellas, if you're not smart enough to hide the majority of those cars or shuttle, do whatever you got to do. Don't park them in front of the restaurant, because if I have to write another special report because of your dumbass stuff,
Yep.
you're going to live in the valley.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's going to come downhill.
Yeah.
So do me a favor and just think how the sergeant wants you to think.
Yeah.
Park the majority of them in the
Walks away.
shadows.
That's great.
Because I know you're going to do it. So for me to say, don't, you can't do that. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do that, because I know those guys would relax and network together. And that was important time
That's right.
before they go home to the wife to ratchet it down a little bit, But
Yeah.
you try to explain that sometimes to the upper command. They didn't, I guess, they may have understood that, but that's not what the rule said.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
When Rob and I have talked a lot about, I think we mentioned it on several one of our podcasts, whatever, but ego, right? Ego is like the kryptonite of this career, right? So if you're a confident young officer, but you lead with ego, man, you're gonna struggle.
Yeah.
If you're a confident sergeant and you lead with ego, same thing,
Right.
all the way up the rank.
Right.
In my opinion, right? Speaking from someone that
Right.
never was an administrator, but that I don't think it'll take a lot of arguing for me not to feel that way, because I think ego is disruptive, right, to everything we
is.
do, everything we do, and you've described this career. You've showed us a bloody vest from way back in the day, a hat that you had to wear, glasses that had a purpose, a light that if you held the right way, you know what I
Right,
mean? It would
right.
protect your life, all this stuff. When the landing gear started to come down for you, Tommy, what did that feel like? When you knew that, hey, this thing's coming to an end.
Yeah.
How did you handle that?
I was torn. It was tough for me. I had my own police department at night. I was the senior sergeant of both precincts. And so the final call would end up on me if it was something really serious. And I loved that.
Yeah.
But I loved that camaraderie with the other command. We had great command. We had great troops, great canines. But I realized at some point this come to an end. Now, we were just talking a little bit about contracts, and there was no incentive for me to stay.
Right.
At the end of 25. We actually broke the numbers down, and it would have cost me actually more money to stay. I had 3 kids in high school. It's like signing up for a second and third term in Vietnam because you're having fun. I mean, this is dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
And and some of this was horrific stuff, and it was starting to wear on me. I could tell that. And I decided I've got to pull a pin. So I went from doing 80 miles an hour to parked. And I would not suggest that to anybody. I took about 4 months off, and I had to start getting back to work. But you go from being large and in charge to nothing. But I made the adjustment. My wife was a working nurse at the time, and ER nurse. So I started working part-time, and actually started working for a company shuttling police cars that we would equip them and that kind of thing. Kept me in the shops and the police stations and driving police cars. But it was a big adjustment. And then I got pretty heavy into keeping the retirees like a weekly lineup that we do twice a week. The camaraderie never ends.
Yeah. It's a brotherhood.
You are forged in steel and blood, and you will die that way with your comrades. And our comfort zone is getting together. Some of these guys are in their 80s.
Yeah.
I'm 75.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger, but I feel
Right.
like I'm 25, which is a dangerous combination because my shock absorbers are not 25.
no.
But I still think, I mean, I'm still watching. I'm still looking for criminal activity afoot. That's what you do.
Yep.
But you know, we got this thing kind of going, and now I try to maintain this. And every time I come across a retiree, make sure that I personally invite them. You got to come, have coffee. And we just sit and chew the fat. We fix all the world and city and state problems every week. And every week, the next week, it's all messed up again.
Yeah.
We have to have another reconvene.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know of any other occupation. Military, except when you get out of the military, you scatter. Fire departments to some degree, but I think police agencies, even some of our snowbirds that come to our coffee lineups, they do this in Florida.
Yeah.
They got these started in Florida at a restaurant, and you got all kinds of deputies and cops from Cleveland and cops from Washington, D.C., and all these guys are retired, and they all have something in common. We all have something in common. We were all law enforcement officers.
I think it's a calling. Rob and I
Oh,
have
it
said
is.
this before, and I think what you're describing, I would preface it by saying, we, the law enforcement community, right, retired or not retired, active, what we're telling you is if you do this job the right way, there's nothing like it.
Oh, yeah.
We are not saying that you can't have this camaraderie in other spaces of employment, right?
Right.
Other areas
Right.
where you find purpose, the nursing communities, right?
Oh, yeah.
The firefighters. What I am saying, and I think what I'm hearing you say is, seek it.
Yes.
Seek it, because it is so rewarding.
Yes.
When you have it, it's yours. No one can take it away from you. I think when Rob and I, when we ended VCI, we had that party out at the Union place, and everybody left. And Rob and I were sitting in the back, and this guy's stoic. We're sitting there, and I'm just like, he looks at me and he's like, "Bro, this is it." And I was like, frick, like, shit, Rob, it is. Like, the idea that you can still get on the horse,
Right.
right?
Right.
Not
That the horse will always be there.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, now I got to find a horse for somebody to ride or something, whatever.
Right.
But when he said that, it resonated. And there was probably, correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably about 25, 30 seconds of awkward bro silence.
Yeah.
We just sat there, and I just looked at Rob. I'm like, well, we made it out of there with no complaints.
It's like,
Right. You start thinking of all the good things.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we were getting after it, got through it, zero OISs, zero complaints that were ever like from us, from citizens towards us. We were trained.
Right.
Shout out to this fabulous place that you and I call, all of us in this room call LPD.
Right.
And this place has done right by all of us in here because we wanted this thing. We were called to do it.
Looking back, hindsight is always 20/20. As the time goes by, I've been retired 28 years. That's a long time to filter and kind of come back down to a normal human being where I can sleep at night and stuff. However, you can have a tendency to take on the Superman mantra through the middle of your career, when all of this, as I was talking about this fellow's death, that I still have his blood, all of this starts shoving you down. The weight gets heavier and heavier, and sometimes it's really hard to deal with. In my case, I look back, and I was a person of faith. Grew up Catholic schools. 12 years I was sentenced. The nuns used to slap me all the time. But that being said, I always felt that there was a higher power. I always felt there was a guardian angel. About midway through the battle with working as a police officer, I lost touch with that. Because it shifts, you're going to court, you got kids, the kids got to be to soccer, they got to be to lacrosse, you ram. You hardly have time for your wife. And it really because when you don't have somewhere to take all of that burdens you can't do that to your spouse necessarily, or you won't.
Yeah.
Not that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do with it? Well, you can sit around and have a few drinks or whatever, but then sometimes that gets to be a bad thing. Then you start that 2 to 2 shift,
Yep.
and you're out drinking with your bros all the time. And You start going down a path you don't want to get going down. So my advice is, if you have any faith background at all, you got to utilize that at some point. You got to try to reconnect, and because you can't do this job on this earth. You can't be a messenger of good and do it all by yourself.
Gotcha.
I
Well
mean,
said.
there are too many things that have happened that I should have never survived. Never survived.
Yeah.
And that homicide suspect that stuck the gun in my face, I thought of things I did in that millisecond before I was able to pull the trigger, which was very quick, that I did with my dad when I was 6,
Yeah.
because I had already accepted the fact, you're dead, man.
Yeah.
Somebody jerked me out of that. Somebody caught my feet on that curb and slammed me to the ground and got me out of the way quick enough. And so analyzing all of that stuff, and I don't know what they do. You know, we had chaplains.
Yep.
I was involved in a shooting on my 5-year anniversary. I had just got a brand new sidearm, stainless steel, in between range dates, never fired it until I had to fire it, and then I had to reload. And that was a little tense. And at the scene, subject was hit and down. First command officer got there, and there had been some radio traffic that he had been walking with a shotgun under his chin, so he thought he'd shot himself. And one of the officers says, no, he didn't shoot himself. And then I stepped forward, and I said, Sarge, I shot him. And his face went to a frowny smile.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, Jesus Christ. And so he looked at one of the officers. He said, all right, take his sidearm. And they disarmed me in the street in front of God and everybody. And I'm like, what am I going to run? Am I going to head for the border or whatever? I mean, am I under arrest or what's the story? They disarmed me in the street, and he said, take him downtown. For all practical purposes, I was under arrest.
Yeah.
So I got into a marked car in uniform after my partner was on the side of our patrol car on his hands and knees looking under the car because the guy is stalking him to kill him, and I'm shooting from a fixed position behind a telephone pole, next to a telephone pole. That's why I have a hearing aid in only one ear, because I damaged my ear so bad that night. And take him downtown. I was put in an interview room, and I realized this is procedure, but when all of a sudden you're the guy that's in the middle of the
Damn
procedure, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this is serious. So I'm sitting in the room all by myself. I can do that. Knock comes on the door. It was one of our chaplains. This is 11:30, midnight. Asked if he can come in. I said, absolutely. I was so glad to see him. He wasn't of my flavor, but it didn't make any difference because he represented what we represent because we're in the uniform. It doesn't make any difference what your ethnicity is or anything. You're a police officer. He was someone from the faith. He said, I heard the shots. You fired 7. I thought, wow. Yes, sir, I did. How are you doing? You mind if I sit with you? No, I'd love you to sit with me because I'm sitting in this room all by myself with my thoughts, unarmed. And that was not intentional. They didn't do that. It was just procedural.
Procedure.
We
We've come
made
a
some
long way,
changes
right?
on
We've come a
that
long way,
because I said, you do not disarm don't ever disarm another
Yeah.
police officer in the street like that. But getting back to my original point about keeping with your faith, if you have faith of any kind at all, don't let that extinguish, because I was so thrilled to see him. And he just reiterated, you're going to be fine. In other words, what you did, you had to do. I felt terrible because I was raised to never hurt anybody like that.
Yeah, me too.
And I did. And it was not pretty. And I thought, okay, that's all I needed. I'm good. And they sent down a detective to take my statement, a salty senior guy that I had a lot of respect for, who had been in the same situation. And he said, I know what you're going through. I got a good idea. And we're going to take a tape statement. I said, no problem. I said, I'll talk with you. I'll tell you the whole story. I've got nothing to hide. It was in front of several other people that this happened. And he said, if he gets a little intense, just give me the sign. He said, I'll stop the tape. He said, I'm not supposed to, but I'll stop the tape. I said, we won't need to. You ask what you need to ask.
Wow.
And, right out of the station. And I was with my buddy that was the New York police officer. And he had just come back from vacation, and he had gone back home to New York City. And we were just discussing, as we left at the station, 2 foot patrol officers in New York City had been gunned down and killed. They got the jump on them, disarmed one of them, and shot them both.
Yeah.
And so we got into that discussion. If that were to happen, I told them, don't give your gun up.
Yeah.
If they get my gun, don't shoot. Start shooting. I'm going to dive to the ground.
Yeah.
You know, if you hit me, you hit me, but
Yeah.
don't give your gun up, or we're both dead.
Right.
So we're having this intense discussion, and then this call goes out,
Wow.
and crazy, just crazy.
So typically, we at the end, Rob asked, you know,
Yeah.
what would you tell a young officer? I think your message, if I'm hearing you correctly,
Absolutely.
is keep the faith.
Yeah, keep the faith. Literally,
Keep the faith.
Faith.
And if you don't have one, find one maybe.
fair but firm. But
Yeah.
if you think you can tote this load for 25 years, you're fully mistaken.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got to have people in your life, and you got to have something else in your life too.
Well, as you so eloquently described the crossing of paths, I would have never imagined that my wife would own a business in Old Town. Rob would be as persistent as he is about a podcast, right? He's more of a visionary than I am.
Yeah.
And to understand like long term, like the need for this.
Right.
Because honestly, and you're not gonna take any credit for it, but that is what he sold me on was, dude, do you understand the kinds of conversations we're gonna have with the kind of people? Not, bro, we've had a lot of people in here, and you have
I've seen
literally,
'em.
Tommy, you've literally raised the bar. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's gonna continue to raise just because of we know the history of LPD.
Sure.
We know the conversations that we're interested in having, right? We know that we can admit our faults, right?
Yes.
We know that we can be a part of conversations that have a meaningful intent. You know what I mean? So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for coming in. I want to take this
absolutely.
opportunity to thank Rob
Bet.
for being as bullish as he was with this entire concept, because I'm going to carry my car home tonight.
Yeah, man.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
you know,
I'm gonna be real careful when I go by Verlinden and over there.
yeah, oh yeah. There could be a bike officer hiding in the,
I'm gonna be real careful.
Time to change that.
You know, the funny part is that they put a stabbing out at one of the strip clubs on South Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I happened to be cruising. And this is a summer night. You're on a Harley. It's their gas. And I'm not far. I'm like coming up on Kavanaugh, and I'm like, whoa. And I get right in there, and there's a big crowd in a parking lot and a big fight. And somebody yelled, he ran right through there, and there used to be to the west just enough space in that fence to get a Harley through.
Yeah,
And if you were experienced with a Harley,
yeah,
you could get through pretty quickly.
yeah.
And I hit him with a fairing. He was running. It's like herding sheep or cattle. And he was running from me, and went through that opening and hit him with a fairing. He put him just ass over teacup, jumped off the bike and drew down on him, and the other officers ran up. I said, cuff him.
And then
My work is done here. That's it.
And then in Tommy Wright fashion. All right, you guys got all this figured out. I got to go inside and grab witness statements.
That's right.
There's not a response in the history of the universe that will be faster and more well covered than a call at a strip club. Covered and smothered.
Let's just say manpower was not an issue. We had
Covered and
plenty.
smothered.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother, for coming in, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We
guys.
appreciate you, man.
This has
All right.
been a blast.
Yeah, man.